3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
From the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and, of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter, X, at Zach Gelb. That is ZACHGELB. We have Ryan Botcher. We have Nico. We have the great Connor Green rocking and rolling with us all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific today. I'll get to my biggest takeaways from the NBA draft in a bit. You know, I thought Minnesota won the first round. Memphis had the surprise pick, but I actually love it. And the Lakers got the steal of the draft, someone that's joined us on the show before in the reigning SEC Player of the Year in Dalton Connect. But I actually think it's a problem that we have with the NBA draft. First off, it should not be a 2-day event. It shouldn't be. The fact that this has now been spread out where the second round is going to start at 4 p.m. Eastern time today is just a joke. Like, I was there last night. The NBA experience was awesome. Great food, great drinks. You know, I was sitting right behind the first overall pick of the draft to the Atlanta Hawks. I think I'll get his name right, Zachary Risachet. I think that's how you say it. It is a badass spelling, by the way, of his first name. I may contemplate changing how I spell my first name, as I spell Zachary, Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y. He spells Zachary. Let me pull it up here for a second. He has Zachary spelled Z-A-C-H-A-R-I-E. I believe I got that right. I've never seen Zachary spelled that way. Z-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-E. Botcher, what do you think of the spelling of that first name? What's better, the way that I spelled my first name, Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y, or how Zachary Sachet spells his first name, Z-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-E?
Depends where you are. If it's in France, it's like Zachary.
Yeah.
It's cooler. But in America, it's just weird.
Yeah.
It looks like Zachary.
A lot of people can't say my name correctly. Like, I will get into an Uber or a Lyft, and they'll be like, Zach. I've never heard someone say Zach or Zach. I'm like, Zach. So I understand it's spelled C-H, Z-A-C-H, but that's clearly Zach. I know some people spell it Z-A-C, Z-A-C-K, or Z-A-K, however you like, but I've never seen it spelled, once again, Z-A-C-C-H-A-R-I-E. So I didn't know I was going to be, I knew that the draft picks were going to be in front of me through this NBA experience. It was a pretty cool event that they invited me to. I didn't know I was going to be sitting behind the first overall pick. And it's a problem with the NBA draft. And it can't be like, okay, every year is Victor Wembanyama. Where even though most of us up until this year have not seen Victor Wembanyama play, you always knew who Victor Wembanyama was because he's generational talent. He was talked about so much. I got there. There's like 30 prospects on the floor at the Barclays Center. And I'm like, a lot of these guys I can't recognize. And I'm trying to figure out who's sitting in front of me. And all these cameras are there. And I even said yesterday, because there was debate, was it going to be Sarr, was it going to be Risachet to go as the first overall pick? And I thought it was going to be Zachary. That's who I thought was going to be the first overall pick. And it ended up being so. So eventually, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting in front of Zachary Risachet. I go, this be pretty cool. I'm going to see the commissioner announce his name. And you know how in the NFL, everyone's on like a phone call? They don't do phone calls at the NBA draft. Or I didn't see anyone on a phone. Now, like, you'll have an agent run up and say something. You know, Scott Drew, when his Baylor guys ended up going, he ran over. He's like, all right, here we go. It's going to happen now. But there is like a big suspense where not even the camera crews really know what's going on. And I kind of felt bad for the players, Connor. Because could you imagine, like, Connor, let's say you were getting ready to be the number 2 or number 1 overall pick in the draft. And this was truly one of the years where even though I had a guess that it was Zachary Risachet because Sarr refused to work out with the Hawks, it was still unknown what was going to happen. So who they think is going to get picked, they have like 3 guys, and ESPN has cameras on those 3 guys. So it's kind of awkward because if I came up to you with the camera crew, Connor, right as they're announcing the number 1 overall pick, you're thinking you're going to be the number 1 overall pick, right?
You would think, yes.
So they had cameras on him, they had cameras on Sarr, and they had cameras on someone else. I don't remember who it was. So I thought that was awkward. So there really is a suspense with the NBA draft. I ended up staying until like the 23rd or the 24th pick, and then I looked at my buddy who tagged along with me, and we were like, all right, we've had enough. It's time to go. But the fact now that this is a 2-day event is just absolutely ridiculous. And I get it, right? It's the day of Bronny, right? No one cares if the Filipowski kid from Duke didn't go. All the coverage today, when it gets underway at 4 p.m. Eastern time, is going to be Bronny getting drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers. And we'll get into that a little bit more later on the show because that's what I think is going to happen. But I do think it's a problem when you have the first overall pick and no one knows how to say this guy's name? Zachary Rissache. That's how I think you say it. Let's hear the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver. He announced the number 1 overall pick last night.
With the first pick in the 2024 NBA draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Rissache from Lyon, France, and France's JL Boron-Bresse.
I think he tried to sound like Adam Silver was French with the first name, that he kind of botched the last name. Connor, do you agree with that?
I agree with that. He should have really gone even more with the Zachary.
Yeah.
And then and then he had no idea how to say the last name. He said Rissache. Mm-hmm. I'm guessing it's Rissache.
No one knows. Let's just be clear. Let's hear from Malika Andrews, right? It goes from the commissioner to Malika Andrews on the ESPN ABC coverage last night.
Zachary Rissache, the 19-year-old, is headed to Atlanta.
Okay, that's how I think I said it. By the way, I just realized someone pointed out my YouTube stream. Why do you have your sunglasses? You trying to think you're looking cool today? As I had them on my shirt, no clue that my sunglasses were there. I was walking to the studio. I guess I took them off, and I must have never put them in my bag. So I'll admit, I was looking like a douche to start this
When you
show.
put the sunglasses on, then you become Zachary.
Yeah. then I'll change my name. So I apologize on the YouTube stream for people that are like mesmerized about the placement of my sunglasses. So 2 different pronunciations in the span of 5 seconds. It goes right from Adam Silver, then back to Malika Andrews. Let's hear from our esteemed update anchor here at Infinity Sports Network, the great Peter Schwartz. Will play it in just a second. Let me just remind people, I know Peter is now trying to be an NBA guy. He's going to the Knicks playoff games. I know Peter Schwartz well. Peter Schwartz despises the NBA, hates it with a burning passion, no matter what he tries to tell you right now. Because I remember a year ago, we had a big blow up right here at the network with DA. It was including yours truly as well when DA was working here. Because Peter Schwartz tweeted out, I'm supposed to care about this NBA draft lottery? He goes, I've never even heard of Victor Wembanyama. And I'm like, Peter.
Forward center Victor Wembanyama?
That wasn't nice, Botcher. Botcher, you have that on your fingertips ready to go?
I was prepared.
Oh, my God. I told Botcher like 3 minutes before the show started, we're going to talk about Zachary Rissache, or however you say his name, how to pronounce his name right in the open. But that was devilish. And that was actually mean by Ryan Botcher.
No.
A little bit.
Wemby.
You took a little bit of a knife and you gently stabbed it. You didn't like viciously stab it, but you gently stabbed it in the back of Peter Schwartz. But last year, Peter Schwartz was like, I've never heard of this guy, Wembanyama. And DA and I were like, it's a bad look for the network when an update anchor doesn't know who Victor Wembanyama was. And then I think Pete realized it. And then Pete admitted he was wrong, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. We were just having fun with it on the radio. But I thought it was funny in Pete's defense, when he's trying to defend himself. He said to me, do you know who the number 1 pick is of the lacrosse draft? I'm like, no one cares about the lacrosse draft. And this is the NBA, for crying out freaking loud. So let's hear Peter Schwartz earlier this morning on Maggie and Perloff. I don't even know if I'm saying it correctly, trying to pronounce the name Zachary Rissache.
Zachary Rissache. I knew I was going to mess that up at some point today.
And finally, I guess Zachary Rissache did an interview. This was on Good Morning America earlier this morning after being the number 1 overall pick in the draft. Let's see how the interviewee introduced Zachary Rissache.
We are back now with our play of the day, and it goes to the number 1 pick of the 2024 NBA draft, Zachary Rissache.
Yeah, so no one knows how to say this. Wait, Zachary Rissache would be the interviewee, right? That's the interviewer? I think I messed that up, right?
E is the person being interviewed.
Okay, so Zachary Rissache is the interviewee. The interviewer, I guess, completely botched the entirety of that pronunciation. How would we rank them? Malika Andrews, I think, would be 1. I think she got it the way I think it's pronounced. I would then say Silver 2, the GMA anchor 3, and then Schwartz on Sports, Peter Schwartz, in a number 4. Would that be your ranking, Connor Green?
I would put Peter Schwartz actually third over the Good Morning America clip because the Good Morning America clip was just wrong outright.
Yeah. At least Peter's memorable.
Peter got his shot blocked in the beginning, had to stop, and then came back. But I do think the second time when he restarted, he did give the name right. So at least he did know it. He just botched it on the first attempt.
You know what? I do compare you oftenly to the great Simon Cowell.
Oh, thank you.
That's how I would think your judging abilities are, where you could be harsh, but you could also have fun. I would say to, like, Peter Schwartz's comp here would be William Hung from American Idol. Like, at least, you don't, wait, Botcher, you don't know who William Hung is?
No.
Oh, my
Am I supposed to?
Gracious. Now, Botcher's 22, so okay, I understand that. Even I was young. Nico, thumbs up, or you don't know who William Hung is?
Kids
Connor?
these days, yeah, of course I know William Hung. He was an international superstar.
He got up to American Idol, and he performed, she bangs, oh, baby, and she grooves. So I once, I think I got the words right. When I won my fantasy football league one year, he charges like $25 on Cameo. I had him introduce the draft order, which is pretty damn good. And like I made like a Simon Cowell reference, and you know, no one sings better than me, just like Zach. No one's better than him in the fantasy league and all that stuff. So Schwartz is kind of like William Hung, Connor.
Yeah, like he inadvertently had a good clip, even though it wasn't great. Just like William Hung inadvertently had a great musical career based on the terrible rendition of She Bang. I think he released an album and made a ton of money too, William Hung.
He does cameos now out of his bedroom. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even think he made the bed when he did the cameo for us. And I was trying to give him a script to read, but on Cameo, they limit your characters. So I just used it in like the prompts that they did and put my whole script in there. He's like, he did it in a version and was like, hey, Zach, I can't do 4 different scripts, but I'll just pause after each one. I'm like, oh, come on, dummy. I just want you to read the entire thing. Like, who does? It was like clearly flowing too. So we ended up having Cap merge it all together.
When you get a cameo from an international superstar like that, you just take what you can get. You take what you can get.
Absolutely. So that's my first reaction to the draft. No one knows how to pronounce Zachary Sachet. I think I got it right. I don't know if I got it right. And also, the NBA draft being 2 days is just a joke. But after that, I thought Minnesota won the first round of the draft. I thought, I was a little disappointed. I get why they would take Castle at 4, the Spurs. I was hoping that they would pair the 2 big athletic freaks, Victor Wembanyama and Donovan Clingan, together in at 4. But they ended up going Castle at 4. And then with the 8th pick, they took Rob Dillingham out of Kentucky. But this is another gripe I have with the NBA draft. And this is a gripe I have every year. Dillingham gets drafted, but he gets traded. So the Spurs draft him. So they have him walking around the entire night with the Spurs hat. Everyone knows he gets traded to Minnesota. And then the GM of the Spurs, that dope, he gets to the podium. He's like, oh, I can't talk about it. Because it was controversial that the Spurs didn't make 2 selections to build a young team when you have 2 picks in the top 10 and keep both of those players. So I like what Minnesota did, a team that we thought after they upset the Nuggets were on the verge of winning a championship and then they lost to the Mavericks. I like them being aggressive, going into the top 10, moving to 8th overall. And then in the back end of the first round, they got Terrence Shannon Jr., who just had a very good season out of Illinois. So I like what Minnesota did in the first round. I was shocked that Zach Edey ended up going 9th overall. Like, when he was in the tournament, and remember, this is a 2-time National Player of the Year. When he was in the tournament, people were like, oh, he's just big. And I thought that was disrespectful and silly. But I thought Zach Edey was probably going to be a late first-round pick or a second-round pick. And eventually, as the process did go on, you heard Zach Edey's name rising a little bit. And I think Scoop B, who was with us yesterday, he's heard anywhere from the top 10 to like probably go the range of, I think he said 10 to like 18, something like that. But he'll probably go in like 15, 16, 17 range. No one had him going 9th overall to Memphis. And I'll say this, I actually like the pick of Memphis. I think a lot of people today are like, oh, Zach Edey, what a waste of a pick in the top 10. Who else did you want them to take? Like, if you want to tell me Dalton Connect, okay. But like people that are criticizing the draft today, do you really know the players that went after Zach Edey? Like, that would be because everyone tries to be an expert this time of the year. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. I'm going to be honest with you. But I have no problem with the pick of Zach Edey, and I hope he ends up being a very good player in the NBA. But the player I really like is Dalton Connect, and we've had him on the show. Great story. You know, the spots he had to transfer was overlooked, winds up at Tennessee for a season, won the SEC Player of the Year. I thought for sure he'd be a lottery pick. I didn't know if he'd be in the top 10, but I thought for sure he'd be a lottery pick. He ends up falling to 17. And think about this. We could finally say something positive as of late with the Los Angeles Lakers. Because you know me, I'm rooting against J.J. Redick. Do not like him. I think LeBron, if he's serious about winning, he should lead the Los Angeles Lakers. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't view the Lakers as a championship destination, but the Lakers need shooters. If they're going to keep LeBron, if they're going to keep Anthony Davis, they need more shooters. And you know, bare minimum, I saw one site compared Dalton Connect to Wally Zerbiak. Like, he's a shooter. You know, he's 39, 40% first-year shooter in the SEC from three. That's pretty damn good. So I like what the Lakers did with the 17th pick of the draft, and I never thought they were going to be able to go snag Dalton Connect. So those are my takeaways from the first round of the NBA draft. We will take a timeout. When we come on back, Bronny to the Lakers. It seems like a lock, in my opinion. I'll tell you why when we come on back in 5 minutes right here on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
Big shout out to Bella B on Twitter. She is a big Jim Rome listener and a big Infinity Sports Network listener. I remember a few years ago, I think we had like a fun back and forth regarding hockey during the playoffs. If I recall, she's a big hockey fan. She sent me an article during the break via Twitter, where you could always get at me at Zach Gelb. The 19-year-old Risashay pronounced Reezashay. So it's RE-ZAH-SHAY. So that's Risashay, right? So we were saying it right. Zachary Risashay. Botcher, do you not? I'm always bad when they
I'm trying to sound it
spell
out here.
for you.
Zachary Risashay.
Yeah.
I think Adam Silver must have been right. Risashay.
Give me Silver one more time, Botcher. Let me hear the commissioner one more time. I think Malika Andrews had it right the best. Go ahead.
With the first pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Risashay from Lyon, France, and France's JL Boron-Bresse.
So he goes Risashay.
I think you're right.
I think that has to be it. If anybody is to know his name, it has to be Adam Silver.
You would think.
You would think.
He is spineless Silver. He could mess up a one-car funeral these days, all right? Like, this guy has not done a lot right as of late, and people still love this dude. See, it's weird. I was hooked up with the NBA experience last night. I'm sitting not that far away from the stage. I'm a pretty loud dude, and I'm a tall dude. There was so much in me that I had to hold back. I wanted to stand up and be like, Adam Silver, you suck! Boo! I wanted to boo the crap out of the commissioner, but I was respectful since I was a guest of the whole NBA experience program last night. I had an encounter last night with John Calipari. So I'm going to be honest. There was some fine whiskey that was being served in this club. So I had a few pops last night of whiskey on some bottle that I don't even remember what the heck it was. And I think if like I went to a bar in the city, it would have been like $80 for like a pour of the whiskey. So it was out of my bracket. But it tasted very good. And I'm walking past John Calipari last night. Like we're in the tunnel of like the Barclays Center, like behind the scenes, coming back from the club. And I see John Calipari. If you listen to the show, you know my favorite chant in all of sports is the pig suey. You know, when they call the Hogs. And he's now the coach of the Razorbacks. Where it's like, ooh, pig suey. Ooh, pig suey. Ooh, pig suey. Razorbacks. So that's like my favorite chant. So after having a few pops and seeing Coach Cal, he's just walking by, I go, Coach Cal, pig suey! And I know he's the new coach of Arkansas. He knows the pig suey chant. They did it at his introductory press conference. He was like, thanks, guys. Like, basically told me to shut the bleep up. He didn't say that, but him just saying, guys, basically was saying, like, I want nothing to do with you.
I think Calipari's a big hot shot, big time coach, and I think he resents the fact that he's been reduced to the pig suey chant coach. I think he'd rather be coaching at a bigger program.
So I disagree. Well, I don't think he ever wanted to leave Kentucky, but him and the AD did not get along anymore. And he won a championship. I don't think he was going to win another championship again at Kentucky. And he's friends with the Tyson Chicken Group, and they're big donors with Arkansas. So that's why. I know, Connor, you're down the hall now. You're big fancy. You don't have time for us network folks here at Infinity Sports Network. It's crazy that we even got you back to fill in today. But that's why I think that's why I know he's at Arkansas. And it's only SEC. And they're going to throw a lot of money at these recruits. And he'll basically try to do what he did at Kentucky at Arkansas, even though it doesn't have the gravitas of the Kentucky job. But anyway, that was kind of my experience at the NBA draft. Now, give me Malika Andrews here just one more time, because the more and more I see it, REE-ZAH-SHY, Rizashe, right? Is that Rizashe? Is that how the commissioner said it?
Rizashe, right?
Rizashe. But, Botcher, I think you still believe it's Rizashe.
No, Rizashe. I don't know. It depends. Rizashe.
All right. Let's put this to bed. Play me Adam Silver after you see the way that it's supposed to be pronounced. Just reading it. Play me Adam Silver.
With the first pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Rizashe from Lyon, France, and France's JL Boron-Bresse.
All right, now give me Malika Andrews.
Zachary Rizashe, the 19-year-old, is headed to Atlanta.
I don't know, man.
I think it's France. It's got to be Rizashe, not Rizashe. Zachary Rizashe.
And Malika Andrews does a great job, but I know this is a dopey commissioner, but doesn't the dopey commissioner even have to get it right?
You would think so, but Roger Goodell did get Tua's name wrong and a couple of other ones too.
The worst one? He said it was the second pick of the draft when Tennessee took Marcus Mariota.
Oh, God,
He said Marcus Mariotto. That was Roger Goodell. Marcus Mariotto.
And Tua Tagovailoa.
Now, a lot of people, I get a lot of DMs from people that hate the way that I pronounce Tua Tagovailoa's name. I say his last name correctly. We've had Tua on the show when he was at Alabama a bunch, and there's a video where someone asked him, how do you correctly pronounce his name? And he's like, Tagovailoa. So I always get a kick whenever somebody is like, why do you say Tagovailoa? Because I'm like, hey, moron, that's how you're supposed to say it. And I always, if it's publicly, if it's through DMs, I'll be nice. But if it's publicly, like someone just bleeping me, like, just dragging me up and down on social media, I will then post it to a Tagovailoa video of himself saying it.
You could just go with Tua T.
Yes. People that know, all right, people that know Tua very well, good friends of his. I know Tua T since he was a little child. All right, Tua T. People in the know call him Tua T.
The kid from Alabama.
Alabama. As we make fun of the great Mike Francesa. So I'm going to say the commissioner got it right. So change in the power rankings. Silver 1, Malika Andrews 2, Peter Schwartz 3, and then in at number 4, whoever the interviewer was on Good Morning America. Now, Ack, how do you pronounce the last name of the first pick of the draft?
Rizashe.
So he says it more like Malika Andrews.
Yeah, so... Mm-hmm. But I just feel like France Rizashe would sound more appropriate than Rizashe.
So, Ack, I always think at this, even when people spell out the name for me. This was sent to me by a listener.
Yeah, that's probably, it's a how hard you deliver the S.
Let me be clear. We have been talking about this for 30 minutes, and we don't hold it against anybody. So we're not going after you, Ack. But if someone spelled it to you that way, how would you then say it?
Rizashe.
Okay. So isn't that right? Sounding wise, that's more like how the commissioner said it.
Yeah, he said like a Rizashe.
Okay. So I guess
like it's an S, but it kind of sounds like a Z. It's a little French, a little spicy.
Softer S,
Yeah. I thought you said something else at first. I thought you said... I heard that very quickly.
Softer S?
Yes. Anywho, My mind is in the gutter. Absolutely in the toilet. This is definitely a summer radio program, if you can't tell. Today, though, the second round of the draft starts at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Does anyone think Bronny isn't going to the Los Angeles Lakers and he's going to get drafted there? I heard Tim Legler, because I guess the Celtics pick right in front of the Los Angeles Lakers. Do we have that sound? Just wondering. Yeah, we do. Play me Tim Legler. This is what Leg said on First Take earlier this morning when talking about the draft status of Bronny James.
I like movies. I like true crime, stuff like that. I'm just saying, 54th pick, we renew the Cold War between the Celtics and the Lakers. The Boston Celtics take Bronny James, and he sent a ransom note to the Lakers. We have your son. And we have your son. If you want him back, it's going to take Austin Reeves. It's going to take whatever you want. What do you think, Stephen A? What do you think? That's a Netflix doc. That's a Netflix documentary right there.
That's right. That works. That works. We have your son.
That's
right.
You want him back? We have your son. If you want him back, it's going to get across you.
I love that.
Right.
What was that, Botcher? What did you say in my ear?
Tim had the pleasure of being on the Rome show today.
Yes.
And he said the same exact thing.
Oh, yeah. It's
word for
good
word,
material.
though. Word for word.
So, that was Tim Legler, who we just played.
Yeah.
So he said it on First Take, and then he said it on
But
Jim Rome.
following the same script is kind of crazy.
I don't think so. It's multiple. I can't tell you how many times we've had something go viral on this show. And then once it goes viral, I'm like, oh, that same person was on some other show, and it didn't go viral. So like Magic Johnson, I think it was this time last year, came on the show, and he was adamant that he's the greatest point guard of all time, which I agree with, over Steph Curry. And he was listing off every accolade that he's ever had and how it's better than Steph, outside of the 3-point shots. And he went on 19 different shows that day. It was ours that did almost 1 million views or something like that. So that just happens. But I think that's a good job by Legler. Tim is a big audience. Obviously, First Take is a big audience, or Get Up, whatever show he was on this morning. And I thought that, I'm okay with that. I thought you meant he stole it from Jim or someone like that. That's what I thought you were saying.
I do think I heard that take originally from Bill Simmons. I could be, it might just be great minds think alike, but I heard about a week and a half ago Bill Simmons give the take to take Bronny James. The Celtics should take Bronny James hostage.
So Legler, a little bit of a thief?
Maybe.
You know
a little bit of a joke thief. Possible.
I'm okay with those allegations because Legs used to join us all the time. He joined us last year during the playoffs. And I've reached out to him 5 or 6, maybe got a new number, maybe. I don't think Tim Legler's a change number guy. But 5 or 6 times I've texted him during this past postseason run, and I've got ghosted.
Wow.
Doesn't even give me the courtesy response anymore. Tim Legler, who I'm a big fan of, and I've been advocating more than anybody outside of SVP that Tim Legler should be the number 1 guy, and he should replace J.J. Redick. I even said when Doc left, they should just move. Instead of putting that clown J.J. Redick in there, you put Tim Legler in there. That's what I've been saying. But back to the genesis of the clip. That would be great if Brad Stevens calls up Rob Pelinka. Hey, Rob, you want to keep Bronny? You want to keep LeBron? Well, we have his son, Bronny. We have LeBron's son. We want your next first-round picks for the next well, it's got to go every other year. We want 4 first-round picks. That's always I love when they trade picks. What was it last night? Memphis traded a 2031 first-round pick. Or the Timberwolves did to get the 8th overall pick from Memphis and get the rights for Rob Dillingham. But we all know Bronny's going to go 55 to the Lakers. I'd be shocked if that doesn't happen. The teams that end up picking before him right now, the Raptors, the Jazz, the Bucks, the Trailblazers, the Spurs, the Pacers, the Timberwolves, the Knicks, the Grizzlies, the Trailblazers, the Sixers, the Hornets, the Heat, the Rockets, the Kings, the Clippers, the Magic, the Spurs, the Pacers again, Wizards, Warriors, Pistons, Celtics. Will any of them have the chops or the stones to actually take Bronny James? Do you think so, Connor?
I think so. I think Bronny James holds more value to another team than to the Lakers because they know Bronny's not going to be an NBA legitimate starter, I don't think. Maybe he could be a decent bench player.
John Rothstein was on with us the other day. He said if it wasn't for the fact that LeBron was his father, he would not even be drafted.
Yeah, no way. So to the Lakers, he really doesn't have any value at all, other than the fact that he's LeBron James' son. But to another team, the value he holds is that he's going to end up being on the Lakers no matter what. LeBron will force a trade. So he holds more value to these other teams because, hey, look, we have Bronny. We're never going to play him. We know LeBron wants him. So what are you willing to give up for Bronny?
Let's say, I don't know, I'll throw out a random team. Let's say the Jazz, they draft Bronny. I've listened to so many teams, I don't remember if the Jazz were on it, but let's just say it's the Jazz. What dirt does LeBron try to dig up on people in the Jazz organization, whether it's the owner, the GM, Danny Ainge, I think now runs that team too. Like, what dirt do they kind of start to dig up and investigate to force a trade and never have that dirt actually see the light of day? That's what I'm wondering. But I think the Bronny storyline, and we fell for it, it's the biggest waste of time. He was never going in the first round. I don't think people actually thought he was going to be in the first round, but maybe because of the LeBron factor he could have. But he was never going in the first round. And I think Rothstein is right. And Fanta said it too when he joined us, he should have gone back to college. He should have transferred to Duquesne, played with Drew Joyce III, right, who's LeBron's high school teammate, longtime friend, and work on your game. But he'll get drafted at the absolute latest by the Lakers. I don't think anyone else is going to take him. I'd be surprised when the draft starts, the second round starts 20 minutes, someone else takes him. I really would be. And I think all this was like Rich Paul saying he won't sign a two-way contract or he only work out for two teams. This was a big, dog and pony show. That's what it was. And it was all to just stir up drama and capitalize and using the name and all that stuff. He's going to end up going 55th overall. I'd be surprised if anyone else ends up taking him. It'd be fun, though. If what Connor's saying or what I'm saying or what Legs is saying or what Bill Simmons is saying, if there's maybe some dirty games going on here where eventually Bronny goes there, but someone else usurps the Lakers, and then they try to demand something. Anywho, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will take a timeout. When we come on back, the Knicks have kept OG Anunoby. We have the latest on Jimmy Butler as well. Something different than what we thought from yesterday's program. Update time first. Here he is, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto saving you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. The second round of the NBA draft gets underway in less than an hour. The Raptors will start things off today with the 31st pick overall, and they have been busy already, reportedly acquiring Davion Mitchell from the Kings for Jalen McDaniels. 5 teams have multiple picks today. They are the Wolves, Grizzlies, Pacers, Blazers, and the Spurs. Also, the Hawks reportedly sending former first-round pick A.J. Griffin to the Rockets for a second-round pick today, number 44 overall. Kristaps Porzingis will miss the start of next season. The Celtics' big man had ankle surgery yesterday. Recovery time is set at 5 to 6 months. The Cubs and Giants are ready to take the field at Wrigley with Shota Imanaga taking them out after getting roughed up by the Mets the last time out. The Japanese rookie still 7-2 with an ERA under 3. Also getting underway are the Twins and Diamondbacks in Arizona. Minnesota trails by 8 games in the AL Central. The Guardians open a series in Kansas City tonight. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Infinity Sports Network. That's Infinity Sports Network to follow us on Instagram.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
So I was watching a video during the break, and it's Maggie completes the lime jello tuna challenge. So I guess this occurred this AM on Maggie and Perloff and many of these same Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and also streaming live on YouTube. That looks disgusting. Just the sound of it. Lime, jello, tuna challenge. So I saw this, and I texted Maggie during the break, what bet did you lose that you had to eat that bleep? And she said it was an NBA playoff bet. I guess she lost an NBA playoff bet to Perloff on the Western Conference semifinals, and then she doubled down on the Western Conference final and got both wrong. She said, clearly I'm an idiot. Connor, I don't know. Can you eat disgusting crap?
No, I can't. I mean, the only foods I really eat, I keep it very simple. Cheeseburgers, pizza. Like, I don't even go with mustard on hot dogs. I'm not an adventurous eater. So anything like that, lime jello tuna, I couldn't do. I couldn't do that.
I filled in, one of the times I filled in on Maggie and Perloff's show, I ate mint ice cream with ranch on the air. Like, they do a lot of these bets. I just walked into this one where I was claiming after hearing it was a player on the Phillies that he eats ranch with mint ice cream. I'm like, oh, we should probably try that. And Maggie was like, I will not taste it. Like, I was literally running around with a spoonful of mint ice cream with ranch on. It was like, come on, Maggie, like, chugga, 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 choo, choo, as if she was like a child, and she wouldn't eat it. And I remember Awful Announcing did like a write-up on it. And it was something, it was along the lines of like, Zach Gelb eats mint ice cream with ranch on the air. And I said something like, it tastes like crap, but it's like not that bad. That's what I said in the moment. I thought it was going to be disgusting. Now, I'm not a ranch guy. I like blue cheese better, but that's with like wings. So I don't, like, the only time I put ranch on something is like a bacon chicken ranch pizza. I am not a lover of ranch. But Maggie eating the lime jello tuna challenge.
With mayonnaise.
Well, yeah, because there's mayo and tuna.
No, but I think they put extra.
Oh. They needed to make that even grosser than what it was?
Yes.
That's repulsive. I don't know why. I love tuna when it's at like a bagel place. But like, I've had roommates, I've had friends, like even my dad is a very good cook. But when he makes like tuna and it comes right out of a can, the smell of it grosses me out. But even though I know the tuna comes in the same can at the bagel place, and they also put a ton of mayo in it to make it taste better. I don't know why. I will only eat tuna coming from a bagel place. I will never just open up a can and make my own tuna at home.
You do have to get past the smell a little bit, but if you get tuna with a little bit of mayo and you put it on sort of a piece of toast.
Everything bagel.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty good. Or the best ever is a tuna steak, which it took me forever to try that.
Very good.
Delicious.
Yes.
Delicious.
100%. I was just talking about like the typical tuna fish. Yeah, there's a lot of other different types of tuna that I think is absolutely phenomenal. This is painful. And then Perloff, I guess, thought he was a big tough guy, and he tried to take a bite, and right away he hocked to it into that into that trash can. He spat right into that trash can. At least like Maggie, like she digested the lime jello tuna. Man, what's the next bet? I know that Perloff lost because he called Victor Wembanyama or he called him Wembusyama. That's what he called him. So now he has to drive to San Antonio. You have that in the system too, Botcher?
No, I was just going to play the Schwartz clip.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm like, if you had the Wembusyama in the system.
I could look.
I'm like, you're like a mini Pete the Body Bilotti if you had all that craziness right at the grasp of your fingertips. Could you imagine Connor driving to San Antonio? And then he has to drive back. That's crazy. How far is that drive, do you think?
To San Antonio?
Multiple days.
Because what? How long is it to get to Disney World down in Florida? Like, that's about a day, right?
Probably more, I would say.
Yeah, so
you can't do it straight through. You got to sleep. You got to go eat. You got to fill up your car with gas.
I'd say three days to get to San Antonio.
Let's see.
Right?
345 Hudson Street to San Antonio via car. Because most people will say go fly. Oh, my God. It's 1,000, according to this Google search I just did, it's 1,820 and a half miles. It is a 28-hour drive.
Now, why is he driving to San Antonio?
Wembusyama?
Oh, wow. Botcher. Very good.
Botcher's on top of things back here.
It's crazy. He may not have known who William Hung was, but you asked Botcher to get a drop. Botcher will be all over it. Because he said he wouldn't win the Rookie of the Year, and I guess that's what he would drive to San Antonio if he won Rookie of the Year to apologize.
Yeah, he has to make a sign, and then he's also not allowing Bogish to go with him or something like that, and he's going to stop for hot dogs in Chicago, something like that.
Okay.
There's a whole backstory.
There's a place in Chicago called the Wiener Circle, where you walk in, it's like, I think a 24-hour joint, and they just berate you. Like, they yell at you while you make the order. I think there's a place in Boston called, like, Dick's, which is like that, where they'll give you hats and they'll write things on your hats and just make fun of you and, like, curse you out the entire time. I would not mind going to San Antonio. I have a friend in San Antonio, and, my friend's dad lives in San Antonio. They've opened up a restaurant there. So I've always wanted to go to San Antonio, but I would not drive.
Charles Barkley, big fan of San Antonio.
Especially the women in San Antonio.
100%, absolutely.
So the Knicks end up keeping OG Anunoby, by the way. I said that yesterday, that I thought if there was going to be an odd man out, it was going to be Julius Randle, not OG Anunoby. But the more and more you think about it, and Scoopy said it with us yesterday, and it's a 5-year, $212.5 million deal, and Sam Rose represents OG Anunoby. He's Leon Rose's son, so you thought that this deal would get done. But it now seems like there's some confidence that the Knicks are going to be able to keep OG Anunoby. Well, they have OG now back. They're going to be able to re-sign Isaiah Hartenstein and keep Julius Randle, and it's Mitch Robinson who's on the way out. Like, now you know OG's back. They just got Bridges. I'm still a little skeptical if they're going to be able to keep Randle, but if they're going for it this year, and you have to sacrifice Mitch Robinson, who always gets hurt anyway, for Julius Randle, and you get to keep him and Isaiah Hartenstein, I would be on board with that, and we'll see if they can find a way to make that work. Jimmy Butler, the reports yesterday is he wants to stay in Miami. Well, then later on we found out he wants to stay in Miami just for this year, and then he wants to have free agency afterwards, and he's not willing to sign a deal now with the Heat or sign a deal with anybody else. So, like, if the Heat said, oh, you're not going to sign with us, we'll try to trade you, he goes, well, tell that team I'm not signing with them. I want to have a monster year and then get to free agency. Kind of puts the Heat in a sticky situation. Because that means you think then Jimmy will be all committed for the season, all in on this season. But then what happens if he doesn't want to stay? Then you're going to basically get nothing back for Jimmy Butler. And the intrigue is still there with Paul George. That's going to be the big storyline when free agency gets underway on June 30th. It's going to be, is Paul George going to stay with the Clippers? And if not, does he go to Orlando? Does he maybe go back to Indiana? Will he go back to OKC? Like, where is Paul George going to go? And there's been a lot of speculation. I would love to see this happen. Paul George, I don't believe it, winding up with the Golden State Warriors and teaming up with Steph Curry. We'll take a timeout. We're talking Tua Tagovailoa next on the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, hour number 2 of our radio program. The second round of the NBA draft is underway. Yes, this is a silly 2-day event now. We had the first round last night. I thought Minnesota won the draft, trading into the top 10, getting Dillingham, and then also on the back end, getting Terrence Shannon Jr., Memphis taking Zach Edey. That shocked everybody because they did so at the 9th overall pick. I actually like it, and I'm curious to see how Morant and Edey will play together. I think there's a lot of intrigue there, so I'm not going to crush everyone like Memphis is getting crushed right now. And I like Dalton Connect. The Lakers need shooters. I never thought he was going to fall to 17, but good job by the Lakers in getting him. And now all attention is going to be on the Los Angeles Lakers and Bronny James, and that's really the big intrigue here on the second round on when is Bronny going to go, and I think he's going to go 55th overall to the Los Angeles Lakers, and I'd be surprised if anyone else takes him before that. A few things here. We were talking about this bet that Maggie lost, and she had to eat tuna and Jell-O, and I made a Hawk Tua reference when Perloff tried it. I said he Hawk Tua'd it into the trash can. Give credit to Brian in the YouTube chat. He said, no, Perloff Hawk Tuna'd it into the trash can. Ba-dum-bum. So a very good job. And also I see our buddy Michael Fry. He has popped back up. The cockroach of Michael Fry is back. Kind of went silent after his Ohio State Buckeyes once again laid an egg. But this is what happens now. Ohio State gets mentioned by EA Sports. It's in the game. As being a top 10 fan base. I think they were 4th overall, loudest stadium on that list. So the Ohio State fans, after getting embarrassed the last few years by Michigan, after seeing Michigan win a national championship, They get a little piece of cake, right? They get a little treat. And now all of a sudden, those Ohio State fans are back. And Michael Fry's already talking about the game at the end of the year. And he's like, hey, Ohio State's going to kick the crap out of Michigan. If you can't beat Michigan this year, then maybe you'll never beat them again. Harbaugh's off in the NFL. They said so many guys graduate or go off to the league after 3 straight Big Ten championships and winning a national championship. So come on, Michael Fry. He's saying to me, this is the other thing I love. And I like Mike. He's a good dude. But this is the thing that I also love. When Ohio State wins this year, you better take my phone call. What, I'm not going to take your phone call? I've seen my teams win. I've seen my teams lose. And I can guarantee you this. I always show up. I don't disappear. You want to call and finally say, yeah, Ryan Day, third base, crying Ryan. He finally did it. Yeah. Then go ahead. That's fine. But take care of business. Because you should win this year. But if you don't, what I'll say to Michael Fry is, you better still call in. Don't be the guy that goes, I'm going to call you when Ohio State wins, and then they lose. We don't hear anything from you. I want to hear from Michael Fry, win or lose. That's what I want to hear. But, yeah, Ohio State on paper this year is better than Michigan. I could be mad enough to admit that. Unlike Michael Fry last year, who was like, nope, Ohio State this, Ohio State that. And then he made his way all the way out to Ann Arbor, and he left crying. Ooh, Michigan won again. Ooh. All right, anyway, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I did see that Jamal Murray, according to Shams Charania, sources tell me that the expectation is that the Denver Nuggets and Jamal Murray will be completing a 4-year maximum $209 million contract extension this offseason. This was Calvin Booth, who joined us right before, it was either the first round of the playoffs up against the Lakers, or it was right before the playoffs started. This is Denver Nuggets general manager Calvin Booth talking about his point guard in Jamal Murray.
You know, obviously I'm speaking selfishly, but I think we have the best point guard in the league. And so for him not to be an all-star is just like, it's laughable. But, you know, it is what it is. The way the system is set up right now, you put almost double weight into the regular season with all-star and then all NBA being voted for after the regular season. So, I mean, maybe it's something as a league we should look at.
So there you go. So he said he thinks he is the best point guard in the league, and now they're going to pay him like that. I don't think he is the best point guard in the league. He's very talented. You know, I was always a big fan of Jamal Murray. When you saw him in the bubble, I think it was up against, was it Donovan Mitchell? When the two of them were just exchanging bucket after bucket after bucket. You know, I said this Denver team is going to be here for a long time. Because at the time, people knew Nikola Jokic was a great player, but I don't think they understood he was going to be a top 15 player of all time. And Jamal Murray is a very good Robin to the Batman that is Nikola Jokic. The only thing is, and I said they would win multiple championships after the bubble experience. The only thing is, I was a little bit out on Denver and how they reacted through the first 2 games of losing to Minnesota. I know they ended up winning 3 in a row, and then they lost 6 and 7. They got blown out in that game 7. But Jamal Murray throwing the heat and pad, throwing the towel at the ref, I thought it was classless. I did. And that was the first time I was like, for someone that I've supported a lot in Jamal Murray, I'm now questioning him a little bit. He's a heck of a player. He wasn't healthy this year. He is a big-time finisher for that team. And I expect Denver to be a championship team once again. But now you're going to get the contract. You're coming off a season where you guys were supposed to go back-to-back. You didn't get the job done. All eyes are going to be on you once again next year to go win a championship. And we'll see if Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic can do that. All righty, let's get to this Jeff Darlington sound. This was the other day on the ESPN. We have a few cuts here. This is Jeff Darlington that admitting that Tua Tagovailoa wants to be paid fair market value.
Right now, there's 5 words that are looming over this contract negotiation, and they're the words that came out of Tua's mouth. The market is the market. He said that after Jared Goff had signed his deal and before Trevor Lawrence signed his. The complicated part of this is the Dolphins could point at that Jared Goff deal and say, well, we're not the Detroit Lions. We're not making that decision. But when Trevor Lawrence then leapfrogs it, you've got a situation, because right now, the Dolphins are not offering the contract that is the market value based on those other deals that were done.
So, to be clear, Jared Goff just got a contract where the average annual value salary is $53 million. Trevor Lawrence got a $55 million a year contract. So I'll react to that in just a second, but I wanted to give you that information. This is Jeff Darlington saying the Dolphins and Tua are still negotiating, but Tua wants a deal like Trevor Lawrence's or Jared Goff's.
We're not to panic point just yet. I just think that my optimism earlier has to be slightly scaled back at this point, given all of those factors currently in play.
Jeff, real quick, but so when you say the Dolphins right now aren't offering what the market of those other, are we talking Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence type of market?
Yes, that is the market. I don't want to get too far into the nuance of numbers because, quite frankly, I don't know them. But based on my conversations, they are not in the Jared Goff and Trevor Lawrence ballpark. And that, to me, speaks volumes about where the negotiations are right now. Again, though, keyword, negotiations. We all know. We've all been through them. We know that it can change in a minute.
Let me be clear about this. I think it was a mistake by the Jaguars to give Trevor Lawrence a deal they gave him when they gave it to him. I thought they should have made him prove it for another season before cashing in and paying him that big paycheck that they just did cut him a few weeks ago and agreeing to that deal. Jared Goff is a different case. The Lions have a chance to go legitimately win a Super Bowl this year. You don't want any contract disputes or a contract situation hanging over your team when a team was just in the NFC Championship game, blew a lead in the NFC Championship game, and have Super Bowl fever going into this year. But I don't think the Dolphins' approach is wrong here. I'm not giving Tua Tagovailoa right now a $53, a $54, a $55 million a year contract. I'm not doing it. And I don't care if the Lions just paid Jared Goff. I don't care if the Jacksonville Jaguars just paid Trevor Lawrence. I thought it was right for the Lions to pay Jared Goff right now. I thought the Jaguars should have waited because you need to see more consistency out of Trevor Lawrence. And the fact is, with Tua Tagovailoa, you've only seen one really good, complete season from him. So I don't think there's anything wrong. Miami's saying, we'll give you a deal now, but it's not going to be at the top of the market. It's going to be below what you think a franchise quarterback should get. You want to give us a discount? We'll do the deal right now. But if not, then you have to go show us what you're worth this year. And if I'm Tua, I would contemplate taking a cheaper deal. But what I think he'll do is he'll try to go prove his worth this year and then cash in, assuming he plays really well this year and stays healthy, cash in this upcoming offseason when then the Dolphins are going to have to pay him more than what the market rate is right now. But I kind of think both parties are right here. Like Tua, you think you deserve more? Okay, go prove it. Miami, you want to give him a discount deal now and he accepts it? Fine. But if not, go show your worth and then we'll be happy to pay you. That's how I think this thing should go down. Like Connor, Tua and Trevor Lawrence, it's kind of similar. Like Tua's only played one really good complete season. He was playing good until all the concussions happened. That was so unfortunate 2 years ago. But when you look at Trevor Lawrence, like, that's Tua's argument, because Trevor Lawrence had a disastrous first year, and I get it, Urban Meyer was a disaster. Then the second year he played great, and last year he dealt with an injury, and he regressed, and still Jacksonville said, we'll go pay you $55 million a year. But just because Jacksonville does it doesn't mean Miami has to do it.
No, and I think I would give Trevor Lawrence the contract that he got just because you can see the raw physical talent of Trevor Lawrence, and I don't think he's fully reached his potential.
That's fair, but then why give him that deal right now? Because what happens if he plays similarly to the way that he did this past season? You've already committed all this money to him. This is now his fourth year in the league. You don't have to pay him right now.
I just think they're so invested in him being the first overall pick.
And it's an obscure franchise.
And they're betting everything on Trevor Lawrence. He's a guy you have to lock down. Where Tua, to me, is not someone that I would ever give a long-term contract at a high annual value, because you know the best Tua can be is probably what he was last year.
Which is, I know he had a top 5 statistical season. I would not call him a top 5 quarterback in the league last year. I thought he was good, and when it was in bigger games against better teams, I was not blown away by Tua Tagovailoa.
And in the playoffs in the AFC, you're going to have to go to places like Kansas City. You're going to have to go to Cincinnati, Buffalo, places where it's cold weather and it's windy. And we watched the playoffs this year. Tua is just not have the arm strength to throw the ball down the field in high winds and cold temperatures. He's good at home in Miami, but we know what he is. He's a guy that's an okay quarterback. He's a smart guy, makes good decisions, but just does not have the arm strength, to me, to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback.
So this is his 5th year in the league right now, Tua. Are you saying franchise tag the next 2 years? Is that what you're doing?
You can do that, and then if I was the dog,
because here's the thing: it's one thing for you to say, I would not give Tua a long-term contract. Personally, I would consider giving Tua a long-term contract, but I would play it out how it's going now. If he wants to take a deal that's below market value for someone that's unproven, I give it to him, and I'd be fine with that. But if he's not willing, if it's not going to be two tangoing here, then go prove us what you're worth this year. And if you just have a good season, because if you just play good, not great, if you just play good, and if he replicates what he did last year, he'll get one of these $55, $56 million a year deals from either the Dolphins or someone else. But you saying, Connor, that you wouldn't give him a long-term deal, is that you saying you would move off of Tua Tagovailoa because the Dolphins have a roster with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill just for starters, which is like the best 1-2 punch wide receiving wise in the NFL, with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, in my opinion. They are in a win now mode. So are you saying move off of Tua? Is that what you're saying?
I would move off of Tua, yeah. I think the way the NFL is built nowadays is if you're going to sink 40% of your cap or 35% of your cap, whatever the number is, on a quarterback, your quarterback has to be Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, one of the great quarterbacks. You can't sink 35% of your cap on somebody that ultimately in the playoffs last year looked like he didn't belong on the same field as Patrick Mahomes. So you either pay a really elite quarterback a ton of money, or in my opinion, you try to find the next guy or somebody else who's going to take a smaller contract where you can build around them. But you can't give like a Daniel Jones type contract to Daniel Jones. You can't give Kirk Cousins $45 million a year.
And then draft the quarterback in the first round.
Right, and then draft the quarterback in the first round. Or give Tua $50 million a year, when ultimately those guys will never be the reason you win the Super Bowl.
So let's play a game here. Well, let me ask you a question first, and then we can play a game. Because there's a lot of times, and I'm not saying, well, it's disrespectful to our callers for us to say it that way. So I'll just say it this way. There's a lot of times people call me, and they go, this person should get fired, or this person should not be given a contract extension. And then I ask a very simple question, and sometimes I get the humana dance. You say get rid of Tua. A year from now, who do then the Dolphins have at quarterback? Because they're not going to be bad enough, you would think, for them to be in the top 10 of the draft. Now, like, they can do one of those crazy trade-ups, but that's a dangerous game for a potentially win-now team. So is there a quarterback out there that you're like, okay, I'll go get to it?
So, I haven't thought that far ahead in my master plan, but all I do know is that you can't win a Super Bowl if you're sinking 35% of your cap space on a quarterback who is ultimately, middle of the pack. To me, Tua Tagovailoa is like Mac Jones, but just a little bit better. Because give Mac Jones Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle.
I don't think you're being
I think he could put up comparable numbers. Tua was terrible until he got all of this talent around him.
So that's a different argument. Like, I wouldn't say Tua obviously benefited, just like Josh Allen benefited, and just like Jalen Hurts benefited by getting more talent around him. No crap. You get more talent around the quarterback, they're going to play better. I cannot, even though I'm a Patriot fan and I liked Mac Jones when they took him, comparing Tua to Mac Jones is very harsh. Very harsh. So
Mac Jones did have a better rookie year than Tua. With worse weapons.
Okay. So what?
And not a real offense. Well,
where's Tua right now? We're talking about
That's
Tua
true.
potentially being a $55 million quarterback, and Mac Jones, his decline started when he had oatmeal next to me at the Super Bowl a few years ago, and now he's backing up Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. All right, so let's play a game here. Would you rather have Tua or this QB that I'm going to mention? Dak Prescott or Tua Tagovailoa?
I'd rather have Dak.
Would you rather go through, though, Dak having to learn the Dolphins and learn that offense? Like, could we get a Dak for Tua trade potentially? Because Dak's a free agent if he wants to be at the end of the year. So if they could essentially trade Tua to the Cowboys and then go sign Dak Prescott, you think, is that worth doing?
I think Dak is a little bit better of a quarterback than Tua, but this is the issue I have.
Same guy, though. Good, not great.
Yeah, this is the issue I have with the NFL in general, and you've seen like it's been floated around that they're going to try to have a separate salary cap for quarterbacks and then the rest of the team. But the issue you have here is that teams wildly overvalue the quarterbacks that they have. So the Cowboys are paying Dak as if he's Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. The Dolphins are looking to pay Tua as if he's one of these superstar quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins is getting paid $40 million a year when Kirk Cousins is not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. They should reallocate that money to the rest of the roster and then just have another quarterback fill in who's probably not as good, but maybe is serviceable that you can find as a backup on another team.
But you're not going to be able to find
types. A Gardner Minshew
you
type.
Think Gardner Minshew?
I don't think there's that much of a difference between Gardner Minshew and Tua.
Stop.
I don't.
Oh, Connor.
Give Gardner a Tyreek Hill.
Connor, I know you've been working locally a lot, so maybe you haven't been in the national landscape in a while. But, like, what are we doing here? Here's what I'll say. You want to get rid of Tua, that's one thing. It is fair. I've called Tua good, not a great quarterback. I understand what you're saying. Your comparisons are a little bit wonky. I don't know what you guys are doing down the hall these days. But if you get rid of Tua, I think there's like 3 options to replace him that are in the league right now. Kirk Cousins, not worth it for me. Kirk's in the back end of his career.
They're like the same player, basically.
Tua is significantly younger. Dak Prescott. You could ask me that question on Monday. I'll give you a different answer compared to what I'll say on Tuesday. I don't think you make the move to Dak in order to say goodbye to Tua Tagovailoa. Here's one. What happens if Kyler Murray has an year this year in Arizona? And Arizona's like, we didn't draft you. You know, their new regime, Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon, we want to trade you. Like, Kyler Murray, I think, has more upside than Tua Tagovailoa, but he's in a similar spot where there's been injuries and he hasn't really been able to put together a ton of complete seasons. I just don't think there's an answer there. And ultimately, I do think they're going to pay Tua as long as Tua just gives you a good season this year. I'll tell you this, though. With the Hawk Tua going viral and the possibility of Tua Tagovailoa maybe not being on the Dolphins next year, Seahawks need a quarterback. Seahawks, Tua Tagovailoa. Could we get a Hawk Tua out in the 12th man with the Seattle Seahawks, where Tua Tagovailoa is going to be with the Hawks?
I would say this. I'd rather have Jake Browning at $7 million a year than Tua Tagovailoa at $50 million a year. I really would.
By the way, the views of Connor Green do not reflect the views of Zach Gelb on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. I don't want people writing things. I don't want people tweeting me. Why are you saying this about Tua and these ridiculous things? The Tua-non's crazy. That's Connor Green. Connor Green. Syracuse's own Connor Green. Not Zach Gelb. Just making it clear. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
I just saw that Kyle Filipowski from Duke was the second pick of the second round to the Utah Jazz. I think he was invited to the NBA draft last night. Yeah, I did see him last night when I was at the draft. And he was there, and he didn't get drafted in the first round. Now it's a 2-day event. That's another reason why I don't like this being a 2-day event. You invite all these kids to the draft, and then, okay, they don't get drafted. It's like, oh, do they go back tomorrow? Now it's not in the Barclays Center. It's at the Seaport ESPN studio. So I don't know if he's there or not, or if you just maybe just go to a hotel with the family and then just wait to hear your name called. But he is now off to the Utah Jazz. I wonder here, Connor, let me ask you this. If you knew, like, let me just tell Kyle Filipowski, which I thought he'd be a first-round pick, like late first-round pick. But if he would have known that he would have been a second-round pick, and he only played 2 years at Duke, so he had more eligibility left, would you have rather gone back to Duke, and I don't know what his NIL deal would have been, but in this name, image, and likeness era, would you rather gone back to Duke or be a second-round pick in the NBA draft and you start your career off with the Utah Jazz?
I would much rather be one of the better college basketball players than be a 10th man in the NBA. Because you can make so much more money in endorsements locally playing for Duke than being the 10th man in the NBA.
Yeah,
and I don't know why these guys declare.
I think he's better than the 10th man right on his team in the NBA, but he's not a starter from day one. I got to look more at how Utah, right, with the rotation, how they're going to use him. But I'm with you. Like, if I wasn't going to be a surefire lottery pick and I had another year of college eligibility, like, it's not as if he's playing at, like, a small school. He's playing at Duke. I would have gone back to Duke if I was him. Now, it's easy for me to say when he goes in the second round, but who knows what he was getting told in this draft process. And that information's always big, what you're getting told, because sometimes people tell you the wrong things or they tell you the right things and you maybe just make the wrong decision. But it's his decision. That's life, and you go through it, and it's not ours. So.
Yeah, even like Bronny James. I don't know why Bronny James decided that he had to declare right now because he knows he's going to probably wind up with the Lakers no matter what. But at the same time, why not just play another year in college, see what kind of numbers you put up? If you don't start, then maybe go somewhere else and transfer. But for him, it's like there's no rush to go to the NBA, especially because he's already a almost a billionaire based on his heritage.
But it depends what do you believe. Like, I know what he said publicly. He wants to get to the NBA on his own merit. And LeBron at first said, I want to play with my son in the NBA. And then reportedly he has pushed back on that. And he said, I'm fine if it doesn't happen. LeBron's only getting older. He's only got 2-3 years at most left in the NBA, I would think. You could get that happen right now and fulfill that dream. I still don't know how much Bronny wants it, but LeBron wants it, and he's going to get drafted. We knew he wasn't going to be a first-round pick. He's going to get drafted. I think it's going to be 55 overall to the Los Angeles Lakers, but I think that's the reason why. But I'm with you. I'm disagreeing. I'm telling you why it happened. Will and should different. I do agree. I think he should have gone back. I think he should have transferred from USC, and he should have gone to a place like Duquesne, where you're always going to be in the spotlight when you're LeBron James' son. But you go to a place like Duquesne, smaller school, you're going to get coached the right way with Drew Joyce III, who is a longtime friend of LeBron James. They were high school teammates together. I think that would have been better because it seems like Connor, it doesn't seem like he does. He needs to be developed more. And he needs more reps where, he's going to be going from, the G League back to the Lakers roster to the G League, then back to the Lakers roster, or maybe just sitting on the bench the entirety. I think those reps are very valuable. Those in-game reps are very valuable for Bronny James, and I can't expect him playing much this upcoming year for the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, and if he really wanted to get drafted on his own merit, which he would not be getting drafted this year if not for the fact that his dad is LeBron James.
I agree with that.
Going to somewhere like Duquesne or even like Davidson or a smaller school in the A-10 or something like that and putting up 20-plus points a game and being the guy, at least then a team can be like, you know what? He might have played at a smaller school, but he scored 20 a game. He was the guy. Maybe he got to the NCAA tournament. And then at least there's like a legitimately real reason for him to get drafted.
So, yeah, that's what I think is going to end up happening. He'll go 55th overall. Right now, they are at the 33rd pick of the draft. What are you saying, Botcher?
They got to speed this up.
It just started.
Nobody cares.
I agree nobody cares, but they're going to do the show.
Well,
I don't think they should do the second day. Maybe because they want to capitalize off the Bronny stuff. Maybe people will watch. You get like a big number, and then you sell it to some streaming service or however next year, and you make it a big 2-day event, something like that. I don't know if that's what they're trying to do, but that's just some crazy thought. But if they're gonna do the show, you got to do the show. But I'm with you. Just like minute a pick, let's go, let's bang this out, and let's finish this thing up.
It's like 5 minutes, it seems.
Well, that's what it was last night too.
There's no reason why the second round should be 5 minutes long.
It's 4 minutes for the second round.
It's 4.
All right, so they trimmed it.
It should be 2.
Why
130.
Why are you such a curmudgeon?
Because does anybody care about these players?
I think those 2 seats are cursed. Where Connor's sitting is like the curse of Hickey and Marash, where people just say stupid things. Connor earlier saying, yeah, not that much difference between Jake Browning and Tua Tagovailoa. Stupid take.
I learned from the best. Hot take, Hickey.
Yeah.
Learned from the greatest.
That's the first and last time that's ever been said on this network. Then Botcher is sitting in the Pete the Body Bilotti chair, which is basically just you have to be a curmudgeon and complain about everything. No, that's what you're doing. Oh, 2 minutes.
This is a fair complaint.
It's stupid. I agree. It's stupid that they've done a second day. But since they've done the second day, you don't just like shoot it out of a cannon. You got to do the actual show and do the show justice.
No.
What do you want, an hour show here?
Yes. Right before like something else they can put on.
What else are they putting on? It's the summer right now. There's no summer league right now.
I'd rather watch like golf or weightlifting or something like that.
Well, it is Thursday, so the Rocket Mortgage Classic has teed off. I don't know what the live schedule is this week. The College Baseball World Series is already over. That Jim Schlossernagel Schmegel Bagel guy, he said that he was never going to leave Texas A&M, and then he does, and he moved to, he left his family to go be the coach of A&M, and he chastised that reporter, and now he's the coach of Texas. There's nothing going on. Major League Baseball is going on right now. There's nothing.
It's better than that. I'd rather watch baseball than this.
Yeah, okay. You can watch baseball tonight. You have multiple TVs, right? Like in my apartment, in my living room, I have 2 TVs. You could have multiple TVs now. Botcher is starting to become the guy that just complains to complain.
It's fun.
I don't even think you actually care about this NBA draft. Like, if you don't care, just let them do what they want to do. So that's that. Connor, you got something to say? You good?
No, I'm good. I think they should probably put this in prime time, though, if they really want to advertise it as the NBA draft. Put it on at,
prime time.
NBA TV, put it on at 7 p.m. We got to see where Bronny goes. It's going to be a big story. It's important.
Prime time. This is the second round. This is like when you go to a very popular restaurant. The second round of the NBA draft, you'll like this, Botcher, is not getting the 7:30 reservation. It's not getting the 8 o'clock reservation. It's not getting the 7 o'clock reservation. You want to go to a fine dining experience in your second round of the NBA draft, you got to take the 4 p.m. reservation. You got to do the early bird special. You got to suck it up. All right?
And that's why I'm so mad, because they're putting on a 7:30 type performance for a 4 o'clock showing. Putting too much effort into this.
No, you still get the full experience of the restaurant. It's just not when maybe like the big stars are in the building.
The lights are off. It's bright. There's sun in the restaurant. It's ugly. A lot of things wrong.
The pot roast is not fully cooked yet because it's too early.
Remind me, Connor, never go to dinner with Ryan Botcher. Never, ever, ever go to dinner with Ryan Botcher. I have to give a big thank you to Ack.
Why is that?
So Ack had his big birthday celebration last week. Did not get the invite, which is fine. I'm not Iron Eagle. I'm not Kenny Albert. I'm not Bruce Murray. I get it.
I know one of those guys for 45 years.
I'm just teasing with you. But your birthday celebration at Peter Luger was what day last week?
Friday.
That was so on Tuesday. Ack comes in with steak that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 4 days old. And the steak from Peter Luger in the bag that you gave us, right? The scraps that Ack just threw to the wolves here at 345
I had
Hudson
the same
Street.
scraps.
Was delicious.
It
4
was.
days later. Delicious.
And
when
surprisingly,
you walked up to me,
I put it into the microwave. It was very good.
which is very tough to do with steak because then it gets like all rubbery. But when you came up to me, you're like, I got a few pieces of Luger steak because I love Luger. I was like, 4-day-old steak, this is going to be rancid. It was delicious.
I kept it in the refrigerator. It was cold the whole time. It was also in an insulated they give you that insulated bag.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of steakhouses in the city. There's some bad steakhouses in the city.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, Peter Luger is sensational. Wolfgang's is sensational. But I will say there's a lot of restaurants that try to be like Peter Luger in the city, and they just dropped the ball big time. There was one steakhouse I went to like a month ago with a buddy in the city, and like we walked away. He goes, "What did you think?" I go, "Would I come back?" No.
Was it on the west side?
No.
Okay.
Oh, wow. That means Zach has a place in the west side that didn't shine his shoes as he walked in.
Exactly, yes.
And he was like, oh, this place is disgusting. Why, the steak was no bueno?
Nah, not really.
Yeah.
Not good.
I left. I was like, okay, it's a fine meal. Like, I'm like, not great. Like, if I'm going to a steakhouse, I want to walk out and say, wow. Like, that was a tremendous experience. This one steakhouse that I went to, I was like...
Didn't cut it, huh?
And there was a lot of hype, too, at this one steakhouse.
Yeah.
And I was like, not worth the hype.
Okay.
It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will come on back. We'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We will get to a news brief. But first, let me just remind you that this portion of the show was brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the second round of the NBA draft is underway, and it started with the Raptors at number 31 overall, taking San Francisco big man Jonathan Mobo, while Kyle Filipowski was next up, going to the Jazz at number 32. Tyler Smith then followed, going to the Bucks, and the Blazers have just selected Marquette's Tyler Kolek. So it's been a big day for the Blazers in terms of the Big East, taking Donovan Clingan last night, 7th overall. The Spurs are up next. A.J. Griffin, the Hawks' 2022 first-round pick, is heading to the Rockets for the 44th pick today, and the Kings have reportedly dealt Davion Mitchell to the Raptors for Jalen McDaniels. The Celtics' Kristaps Porzingis will miss the start of next season after undergoing ankle surgery. Recovery time is set at 5 to 6 months. Baseball action today. The Twins have extended their lead after 6 in the second. They've added 2 more and now lead the Diamondbacks by a score of 8-0. Bottom of the third, the Cubs lead the Giants 3-0. Nico Horner with a home run for Chicago. Luis Robert has put the White Sox on the board with 1 as they lead the Braves 1-0, bottom 2. I'm Rich Hackle.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Alrighty, let's hear from Shams Charania. This was via CBS Sports HQ. Jimmy Butler will not sign an extension with the Heat or any other team this offseason.
Bam Adebayo, the cornerstone center, he is expected to sign a 3-year, $166 million maximum contract with the Heat in free agency. Once teams are able to agree to extensions and sign extensions after the league moratorium. But Jimmy Butler, he's going to play out next season under his current contract with the Heat. I'm told he will not be signing an extension with the Heat or any other team ahead of his opt-out in 2025 free agency. And this clears up any notion of a trade demand out of Jimmy Butler. He intends to play out next season. He has an affinity for Miami, wants to be with the Heat next season. So he has 2 years remaining on his deal, $49 million this upcoming year. Then that player option in 2025 for $52 million. And I'm told Jimmy Butler is absolutely determined to have a big season next year and set himself up for a major payday in 2025 free agency when he can sign a deal 4 years up to $240 million.
Here's the thing. Jimmy Butler right now has the Heat by the you-know-what. Because the Heat had a decision to make. Can you get a deal done with Butler? And then if you can't, you go trade him. But if he's telling every team, I don't care if I get traded to you, I'm not signing with you right now, then why would you give up significant draft capital or a significant piece? You wouldn't. But then also this helps the Heat for this year because Pat Riley's complaint at the end of the year was Jimmy Butler wasn't available enough. So if he's trying to go all out for this year, you run it back for one more year with Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, and you hope that it succeeds. You hope you win a championship. I don't think they will. But if he plays really well, then you could still have a chance to re-sign him. But if he wants to go elsewhere, then you're just SOL. Let's go to Spurs. New draft pick. This is the 4th overall pick. Stephon Castle out of UConn. He can't wait to get on the floor with the San Antonio Spurs.
I was just playing for the best coach in college basketball, so now going to flip to the NBA, playing for, a legendary coach like Coach Pop, I mean, it's definitely a blessing. And, on the culture side of things, I mean, it's not really a big culture change from UConn to San Antonio. I mean, just being out there during, the pre-draft process, you can tell that, it's a hard-working program and, super hard-nosed. So I just can't wait to go out there and, just show what I got.
I told you UConn guy was going to go to the Spurs. I was just hoping it was going to be Donovan Clingan because I thought that would have been so fun to watch. Wemby and Clingan on the same team with the UConn Huskies, but Kong ended up going to the Portland Trailblazers last night, and San Antonio, who had the 4th pick and also the 8th pick, they traded Dillingham to the Timberwolves, and obviously they took Castle at 4. Let's go to Jay Wright. He was on the Boomer and Geo Extravaganza earlier this morning, and he was asked about did the Lakers ever reach out to him about coaching the team.
Jay, I have to ask you, since I have you here and we're talking about this, did the Lakers ever reach out to you for you to come out and listen, or are you unintelligent?
Yeah, you're good, Boomer. You're good. And you know what? I'm so old, Boomer. You know that we all know each other in this business.
Yeah.
And Rob Palenka is a good friend, and so like when things are happening, we're communicating with each other way long time ago. So, like, anything that was coming out late that I was not involved. Rob and I talked during the season, and so we were always communicating. But there was nothing going on late, like when they were talking about if Danny doesn't go. There was nothing going on there.
I don't think Jay Wright is coaching again. If he does, it will be in the NBA. I don't think he was ever interested in the Lakers job. If he's going to coach in the NBA, it's either the Knicks or the Sixers. And Tom Thibodeau's nowhere close to be getting fired, nor should he be. And Nick Nurse just got there to Philadelphia, so I don't think Jay Wright's going to coach again. But Jay Wright playing the I'm so old card kind of made me raise an eyebrow. But let me just go around the room here real quickly. Botcher, how old do you think Jay Wright is?
45. Am I off?
Connor? Yeah, you're way off.
I would say he is 53.
Jay Wright's 62 years old.
Wow. That's older than I thought he was.
Jay Wright's been coaching a long time. But you start to get into your 60s, start to get older. Like, my dad turned 65 on June 30th. My mom and dad have the same birthday 2 years apart. My mom is turning 63. Sorry. Like, my folks are getting old. Like, you start to get older, and you start to, like... I start to refer to people as old when they start to get into their 60s, is what I'm saying. So, Jay Wright, I still think he'd go coach for, like, another 10 years if he wanted to. And he was at Hofstra from 94 to 01, and then Villanova from 01 to 2022. But... at 62 years old, turned 63 in December, he could play the old card, Connor.
He could, but he still looks so young.
That's the thing. Like, Connor's not wrong. Botcher's not wrong. Like, he said 45. Like, of course, that's way off. But he does look like he's 45.
Yeah, like normally 60 years old, you got gray hair. You maybe got a little bit of a belly from all the years of overeating a little bit. But he looks great. So I feel like he retired from coaching only because he didn't want to deal with
NIL.
Yeah, exactly.
100%. That's why he retired. Here's Jay Wright. He believes J.J. Redick will be a good coach.
I kind of compare him to Pat Riley a little bit. When Pat Riley came on and he came from the radio booth, I think he's a really intelligent guy, and I think he knows that he's got a lot to learn, and while he's learning, he's going to use his assistants, but I think he's going to develop himself into a great head coach. If he left TV to do this, that means he's committed to it. And, I mean, look at what Pat Riley did, one of the greatest of all time. And I think JJ can develop himself into that kind of coach. It's going to take time, but I think he's smart, and he's going to know how to navigate the early part of his career as a head coach.
So I get the comparison in what he is saying, but Pat Riley is one of the greatest coaches of all time. Can J.J. Redick coach a game first? And also, J.J. was never an assistant. Pat was an assistant for a few years before getting the Lakers gig. So let's pump the brakes, even though I love Jay Wright, on J.J. Redick being one of the next great coaches that the NBA has seen. Let's hear the first pick. I believe you say his name's Zachary Risacher of the Atlanta Hawks. He's extremely happy to be taken by the Hawks.
That's a blessing, so exciting. There's a lot of feelings and emotions right now. So I don't know what to say, but that's definitely special, and I'm so blessed. All the work that I've been through, and all my family is here. I'm so happy to have them here, my friends, and this is amazing. I don't know what to say. That's special.
That's awesome emotion. Let's hear from Rob Pelinka of the Lakers. He had Dalton connected. They got at 17, graded as a top 10 pick.
We would have never imagined a player as skilled and sort of perfect for our needs would be there for us as Dalton Connect. We had him, as a top 10 player unanimously across our scouting boards. I was at the SEC tournament scouting him extensively, and in my mind was like, there's no way a player like this could be available for us to pick on draft night. So across the board, just couldn't be happier.
And he could shoot, which is a big thing that the Lakers need help in, especially they're running it back with LeBron and Anthony Davis. Let's hear Rob Dillingham, who winds up with Minnesota and getting to play with Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Playing with Anthony Edwards and the whole Timberwolves, they was in the Western Conference Finals. So it's really just a blessing because I get to learn from a lot of players and veterans and players that's real good. So them helping me is just a plus for me.
And they also got Terrence Shannon Jr. I thought that was an incredible first round for Minnesota with the trade up to go get Dillingham. Here's Reed Sheppard, formerly of Kentucky, now of the Houston Rockets, and the emotion when he heard his name called with the third overall selection.
It was unbelievable. It was a dream come true. It's something that I've been dreaming of since I've been a little kid, and having my family with me at the table, my coach, my agent, having my family in the crowd. I couldn't ask for anything else.
So congratulations to him. The Knicks, via the Trailblazers, are getting Tyler Kolek from Marquette. Kyle Filipowski got drafted 32nd overall to the Utah Jazz. Just some of the notable names to go on the early stages of round 2, which obviously Ryan Botcher's not happy that they're having the draft in this round 2, and it's taken that long. Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 selections have been made so far. We are 38 picks into the draft, but we're all zeroing in on pick 55, the 25th overall pick of the second round, the 55th overall pick in the draft. It's held by the Los Angeles Lakers. Will anyone before that selection take Bronny James? And when the Lakers are on the clock, will they take Bronny James? I think so. We'll see if we get that answer before we say goodbye at 5 p.m. Eastern. I don't know if we will. Or 6 p.m. Eastern.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
I am not good when it comes to explaining things in the legal world. I'm not good at that. If I was a lawyer, I would have attended law school. I often find out or tend to believe that whenever it comes to litigious situations, I don't think they make for great radio. It's some of the shows that I hate to do the most is when we have to talk about legal matters, especially when there's confusing, complex legal matters. And then we usually just hit up like Amy Dash, and she says a bunch of big terms, and I still don't know what's going on, but she tries to talk to me like I'm an idiot, and she explains things to me a little bit better. So I don't usually find these legal situations to be things that I find all that intriguing. I knew that there was some Sunday Ticket lawsuit because I do follow Mike Florio, and I'm a big fan of Pro Football Talk, and he's been harping on this a lot. So via Spot Rack, and this has been other places. Connor, how do you pronounce that? I don't think this is as confusing as, or maybe it is Zachary Sachet, as we talked about that earlier, how Malika Andrews, the great Peter Schwartz, also Adam Silver, and then whoever was on Good Morning America all pronounced it a completely different way, the first pick of the draft. But the salary cap website or the contract website, I call it Spot Rack. How else have you heard it pronounced?
I've heard it pronounced Spotrack from time to time, too, which maybe it means sport track, like sports track or something like that.
So I've called it what? Spot Rack, I said?
Spot Rack.
Spot Rack. You call it what?
Spotrack.
Spotrack? Botcher?
Spot Track.
Spot track, okay.
Visachet.
Did you put a V on that?
Visachet track.
I think it's Risachet.
Risachet.
All right, give me Adam Silver here one more time. This was the commissioner last night pronouncing the number 1 overall pick. I think he got it right.
With the first pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Atlanta Hawks select Zachary Risachet from Lyon, France, and France's J.L. Boron-Bresse.
So Risachet is how the commissioner said it. Now give me Malika Andrews from last night right after the commissioner said it.
Zachary Risachet, the 19-year-old, is headed to Atlanta.
So that's how I said it. Now let's hear the great Peter Schwartz.
Zachary Risachet. I knew I was going to mess that up at some point today.
And finally, this is on Good Morning America.
We are back now with our play of the day, and it goes to the number 1 pick of the 2024 NBA Draft, Zachary Risachet.
Okay, so we have no clue how to say the first name.
Watch that last one be the actual way to pronounce it. Risachet.
Yeah, we have no clue how to say the last name of the first overall pick of the draft. Yeah, you know how I would have started that interview if I was doing on Good Morning America? We're here with Zachary, the first overall pick of the draft. I would try to pronounce your last name.
Exactly.
But everyone's pronouncing it a different way. So how do you say it? And then you just repeat whatever he says or you try to say it. But anywho, Spot Rack is saying the NFL has been ordered to pay $96 million in commercial class damages and $4 billion in residential class damages per today's guilty verdict in the Sunday Ticket antitrust trial. By federal antitrust law, that $4 billion becomes $12 billion in actuality. The plaintiffs were seeking $21 billion plus. There will almost certainly be appeals here. The only reason I'm bringing this up, and I'm not going to bore you with like the legal lingo and what does this mean and all that. I kid you not. And this story is breaking. 30 minutes ago, we are talking about a Sunday Ticket lawsuit. 30 minutes ago, it's almost like they knew this verdict was coming. It's almost like they knew they weren't going to win. I get an email from YouTube TV. Just for you, save $50 on NFL Sunday Ticket. Get a jump on the NFL season and sign up now. Save $50. Teams are getting ready to hit the training field. Gear up for your Sundays with NFL Sunday Ticket at YouTube TV. That's what they just sent me. When, in reality, the NFL has been ordered to pay $96 million in commercial class damages and $4 billion in residential class damages per today's guilty verdict in the Sunday Ticket antitrust trial. I think the timing of that, they still got to sell Sunday Ticket for this upcoming year. But I think the timing of that is very Larry David-like interesting.
I'm waiting for the NFL to get sued over only allowing EA Sports to make NFL football games, too. Because I don't know how that's not an antitrust situation as well.
I think there was some sarcasm from you there.
I mean, I don't know much about the law, but only allowing one company to make a game based, I don't know how there's a difference between the Sunday Ticket and this. I don't really know.
Well, when I was growing up, and we're the same age, Connor, you had multiple.
Exactly.
You had Madden, you had that NFL Game Day, and you had the 2K video game where you had the crib mode.
Yeah.
I think it was like Funkmaster Flex would be like on your cell phone inside the crib.
That was a great game.
It was a great game, but now it's just Madden. So I just thought the timing of that email was very interesting. Anywho, let's get to some Anthony Richardson news. The Indianapolis Colts, according to Adam Schefter, say quarterback Anthony Richardson remains a full go for training camp despite shoulder soreness the second-year player experienced earlier this month. I'm really intrigued how we're going to be talking about Anthony Richardson at the end of the season. Because I always viewed Anthony Richardson as someone that was like a quarterback that people wish they could have, but he didn't hold up his end of the bargain yet. Like when he was at Florida, he had that really good first game up against Utah, and that was Billy Napier's first game as the head coach of Florida. He had another crazy game later that season, but there was like a lot of up and down with Anthony Richardson. And there's some prospects, you look at them, you're like, this is what you're getting. There's others, you're hoping what they're going to be. Anthony Richardson is a hope prospect that you're saying, if he could do this, if he can do that, then he could be this great player. It was kind of like Josh Allen. Like, a lot of people say Josh Allen, if he can do this, if he can do that, then he'll be that great player. But for every Josh Allen, there's a Zach Wilson. Like, if he can do this, if he can do that, then he'll be like a third of Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's what people said about Zach Wilson in that draft process. And there's a lot more Zach Wilsons than there are Josh Allens, right, in terms of that trajectory. But Anthony Richardson, in a very limited sample size before he was knocked out for the season, I was kind of enamored with him. He only played 4 games. He only threw for 3 passing touchdowns, but he also had 4 rushing touchdowns. And in the NFL now, we have entered the dual threat quarterback era, where even if you're not, and Richardson will run downfield, but even if you're not running downfield, like Mahomes doesn't run downfield a lot, it's more sideline to sideline, extending the play and using his mobility that way. But you need some mobility now out of the quarterback position, and Anthony Richardson can have a big arm, and we also know he could plow through some defenses running the football. But the question becomes, will he be able to ever stay healthy? And coming off a season last year where he was hurt, it's kind of very unfortunate that already he's dealing with shoulder soreness, and now we're wondering, it's like a positive thing that they're saying he's a full go for training camp, but you say, if he's already dealing with shoulder soreness earlier in the month, how much of a full go will he actually be for training? It's like one thing to say it, but will this be a lingering issue throughout the season? And when you get more, and you take more hits, and how much you're going to be running as well, is your body going to be able to withstand the rigors of a 17-game regular season? It's just a question. But I look at the Colts. They were a team with your guy, Connor Green, and Gardner Minshew, who last year, they almost made the playoffs. And they should have made the playoffs if it wasn't for Shane Steichen, who had a very good rookie season as a head coach. But if he would have just put Jonathan Taylor on the field at the end of the game, they would have been a postseason team. But you look at this team, you have Jonathan Taylor, you drafted the Mitchell kid, Josh Downs is a solid player, Michael Pittman Jr. is a very good wide receiver. The offensive line found its form again last year. You got enough there to get a true evaluation of what Anthony Richardson is. But he's got to stay healthy. So I'm really intrigued by Anthony Richardson entering this season. Let's go around the room here right now. I'll start with Connor Green. Who is a quarterback in the NFL that you're really intrigued by what they're going to be this year and how we're talking about them at the end of the season?
Well, naturally, Zach, the quarterback that I think who has the most to prove this season is Aaron Rodgers.
Ayahuasca Aaron,
because he obviously last year the expectations super high for the Jets. But I think this year the expectations are actually even higher than they were last year, because last year I think the Jets were a good team that got Aaron Rodgers. Now, if you look at the Jets roster, there's not very many teams you can look at and say they're clearly better than the Jets.
If they can stay healthy.
If they can stay healthy.
Like Tyron Smith, great that you got him. The guy hasn't played a full season in a very, very long time.
That's true. And Mike Williams coming off injury, too. So there's a little bit of an injury question mark across the roster. But this is a team that, if they do stay healthy, has one of the best rosters in the NFL. And Aaron Rodgers has been very vocal. Now he's missing mandatory mini camp. He's on McAfee all the time. And so you kind of, when you do all that stuff, you have to perform.
All right, let me ask you this then. I'm going to give you a team. Do you have more confidence in this team or the Jets entering this season in just the AFC? Buffalo Bills.
No, I don't. I think they lost too many guys. You lose Stephon Diggs, defensive players. I think Josh Allen is the most talented quarterback in the NFL. I don't think he's the best, but the most talented.
More talented than Mahomes?
More talented than Mahomes, yeah. Wow. Physically, he can do things that...
You have takes today.
Physically, I think he can do things that really no other quarterback ever has been able to do. I just don't think the team around him, and I question Sean McDermott because they can't get stops in the playoffs at all, and now you lose guys on defense. I think the Jets are a better team and really should win the division in the AFC East.
So I'm going to assume then that you're not going to take the Miami Dolphins over the Jets.
No, okay. I will not. Because of Tua.
How about the Baltimore Ravens? Baltimore Ravens or the Jets entering this season?
Baltimore is, I think, a better team than the Jets.
Okay.
I think Baltimore and Kansas City, to me, are the two...
Don't ruin the game here, Connor!
Okay, continue.
I'm giving you the teams in the AFC.
Okay.
So you only think the Ravens and the Chiefs are the only teams that are better than the Jets.
The only two clearly, but you can make arguments for some of the
Bengals?
others. You can make an argument for Cincinnati, but I would take the Jets over Cincinnati.
How about the Houston Texans?
No. I think, honestly, last year for the Texans was a little bit of a flash in the pan. I think
C.J. Stroud's a top 5 quarterback.
He's a great quarterback. I think they played a bit of a weak schedule. I think they come back down to... People are expecting them to just ascend into a top 3 AFC team. I don't necessarily see that.
It wouldn't shock me if the Jaguars win that division. I think that could actually be a savvy bet. But I will say this. Entering this season, just for starters, I still trust the Bills more than the Jets. I trust the Ravens more than the Jets. I trust the Bengals more than the Jets. Obviously, Kansas City and the Texans. Those are 5 teams that I trust more. I think some of them are up for debate, don't get me wrong. And the Jets defense is a very good defense. Rodgers, coming off an Achilles, I think he'll win comeback player of the year. Garrett Wilson's a stud. Breece Hall's a stud. That line still concerns me. Because Joe Douglas, right? The Jet fan thinks they fixed this offensive line. I've been hearing about Joe Douglas fixing this offensive line ever since he's got here in New York. And he's been the GM for since whenever the PGA championship was at Bethpage Black. I think it was 2019. So he's been the GM now for quite some time. And the offensive line's better, but Tyron Smith gets hurt once again. I know they just drafted the kid from Penn State. But I'm not still sold on the offensive line for the Jets. Better, but it was coming from a very bad place.
And I also think, I don't love the offensive line this year, but I still think it's so much better than it was last year. And I think with Rodgers, you have a quarterback who understands protections, where Zach Wilson, I don't think, understood anything that was happening out there. So I think that helps a little bit, too.
It does, as long as he doesn't get killed 4 plays into the season.
Exactly.
That's a big part of it. But I do agree with you. A veteran quarterback that is as savvy as Rodgers can help out an offensive line that's just solid. But can they just be solid this year? I like the Kid Tippmann on the line, but can they just be solid this year is the question. If they're solid, the Jets will be a really good team this year. Botcher, who is your quarterback here that you're really intrigued to see how we're going to be talking about them at the end of the season?
Another Jets legend. This one not for good reasons, of course, but Geno Smith with the Seahawks. I just don't think he's panning out.
I'm not going to lie. When you were like Jets legend, I know you were kidding. I'm like, who's the quarterback that was on the Jets that's somewhere else? I have not even thought about Geno Smith, but he is the starting quarterback for the Seahawks.
Yeah, but I think that he had a down season last year. He's paid a little bit too much than he deserves. Seahawks. They brought in Sam Howell as a backup. Potentially could replace him midseason, so I just think he needs to perform or they're going to be drafting a quarterback.
They're going to be having a new quarterback next year because that's a team. They got pieces, man. You got Kenneth Walker as a running back. You start with DK Metcalf. You got Tyler Lockett. I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to be a great wide receiver in this league if he could just stay healthy. That team in Seattle, they may take a step back this year. New coach. It's like, I know they missed the playoffs last year, but they got a new coach. It's like, okay, you never know how that's going to be when you're replacing Pete Carroll. That could be funky, but they got a roster that's pretty damn good. And to me, they just need a better quarterback. Geno was a great one-year story, right? He everyone wrote him off. He didn't write back that line. It was awesome. But last year, Geno showed you he's not the guy for the next 3-4 years with the Seattle Seahawks. Mine is this guy. Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson. We have not seen Deshaun Watson be a great quarterback since 2020. That is a long time in the NFL. And he was on a rancid team in 2020. But he threw for nearly 5,000 yards, had 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Now, a lot obviously happened with Deshaun Watson. And I can't stand Deshaun Watson. I used to really like him, but obviously what was alleged of him, I can't stand him anymore, and I think he hasn't showed a lot of accountability. But 2021, he didn't play. 2022, he suspended for most of the season. Then he came back, and he wasn't all that impressive. There was a disconnect. Should we put the ball in Deshaun Watson's hands more when they should have ran the ball more? Now Nick Chubb is coming off another disastrous injury, and he barely played last year because he got hurt. And the Browns made the playoffs without him. Joe Flacco came off the couch, won comeback player of the year, and punched a lot of people in the NFL in the mouth. Deshaun Watson doesn't have the scapegoat of Kevin Stefanski anymore. Because if Watson got through last season, let's say he was just average, he would have won that power play because they traded all the picks and they gave him the guaranteed contract, he would have been the scapegoat, Stefanski, if people were starting to blame Watson. But Stefanski in Cleveland, let me remind you, where my life they fire coaches like it's a day that ends in Y. In Cleveland, he's won two Coach of the Year awards, has taken the Browns to the playoffs twice, Kevin Stefanski. He's not on the hot seat, just got an extension. And if Deshaun Watson doesn't hold up his end of the bargain this year, I don't want to hear Cleveland Browns fans turning on Kevin Stefanski, turning on the quarterback who needs to start earning that fully guaranteed contract. So I'm fascinated by how we're talking about Deshaun Watson at the end of the year. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Who is a quarterback you're intrigued by how we'll be talking about them at the end of the year? This portion of the show is brought to you by the all-new Hyundai 2024 Santa Fe, equipped for adventure with capable features, with available H-Track all-wheel drive and standard third-row seating. We will take a 5-minute break. When we come on back, the trash talking is already starting against Caleb Williams. We'll play you what one member of a Week 1 opposing team had to say about the Bears quarterback.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
I got to play you some audio in just a bit. It is from Bob Myers about Bronny James. You don't want to miss it. But first, the other day, Jeffrey Simmons of the Tennessee Titans was on the Rich Eisen show, and he's looking forward to their Week 1 matchup and talking some trash and saying a certain thing to new Bears quarterback Caleb Williams. Listen up.
You, Jeffrey Simmons, Week 1 of the National Football League season, will be the first human being on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Painted nails.
In a game.
Painted nails.
I can't wait to say that to him.
For Caleb Williams.
Well, definitely.
I'm not going to lie. That's kind of really crappy trash talk. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a funny audio bite. It is. It's a funny sound bite. But, like, how is Caleb Williams supposed to react if, let's say, Big Jeffrey Simmons sacks him? Or even before the game, he runs up to him and he's like, hey, painted nails. Like, I would just chuckle. Connor, see, like, you're witty. If we had probably a trash talker here at Infinity Sports Network and also Odyssey, WFAN, all that stuff in the building, like, if I was picking a trash talk team, I don't know if you'd be people's first pick, but I think you have a very, like, quiet trash talk where once Connor gets rolling, you do not want to be on the other side of the Connor Green Burns. That's what I'll say. So where do you fall on this in terms of Jeffrey Simmons?
I just feel like it's too low-hanging fruit. It's too easy, and it's not creative. Calling him painted nails would be the same thing as calling him mama's boy or something like that.
Well, if he said, I'm going to make you go cry to your mama again because he jumped into the stands and cried in his mom's arm, like, okay, that's at least like solid trash talk.
Right.
The fact that he's doing the interview in studio with Rich Eisen, and it's like, you heard the laughing. Brockman, who's their producer, I love Chris, he's a good dude. Like, you hear him laughing in the background. He knows that Jeffrey Simmons either said something funnier earlier or is about to say something funny there because he's like, he's laughing like he's a hyena right there.
Yeah, and just saying painted nails. I mean, you can call him soft maybe or something. I don't know. To me, it's not grade A trash talk from Jeffrey Simmons.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think the Bears are going to have a really good season. I think the Bears are a 9-8, 10-7 football team. And I think the Bears are going to be in the playoffs this year. I will say, talking about painted nails, though, being at the draft last night, Jared McCain got drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers. And all I'll say about that is the kids that were at the draft, because Jared McCain, if you don't know, he paints his nails and he does like all these TikToks, which I don't care. Like, if you want to be on TikTok, great. If you want to paint your nails, great. Doesn't bother me. But the kids at the draft, like, I'm talking about, like, there were kids anywhere from that were sitting in front of me, like 7 years old to 14 years old. The kids, when all these other players are walking by, like Donovan Clean got a reaction. The French players, a lot of them don't even know who they are. There was like some other players that got a reaction, but you saw all the kids like run to whatever area Jared McCain was doing his rounds after getting drafted, because after you get drafted, right, they have a bunch of stations that are there, do some interviews. all the kids were, Jared, can we get a photo? Can we get an autograph? This. And you may be saying, like, oh, that would happen for any prospect. It wasn't. So Jared McCain, I kind of hope he turns into a star because not only can he shoot the lights out of a gym, I think he was a 40-something percent. He shot 41% from 3 in college, 41% from the 3 in college in 1 year at Duke, and 46% from the field. You know, if he could start just hitting 3 after 3 after 3 in the NBA with his TikTok presence, I think it's going to make for just a very fun storyline. And you could usually sense who the kids are enamored with. The children were enamored with Jared McCain last night at the Barclays Center. But I can tell you this, too. The first thought I had when he got drafted goes to Philadelphia, big passionate sports city. Can you imagine some of the callers on Sports Radio 94 WIP when he has a bad game? Like, you go to like a Chuck in Mount Airy, like some of those callers. There was some guy that, Butch and Maniounk, who would always like sing songs for the players. I could hear it now. This guy McCain, he needs to stop painting his nails. Get a towel, wipe the nail polish off, and stop with the TikToks. Stop with them. That's going to be like a Sports Radio 94 WIP call. I'm going to pick up the phone and moan about Jared McCain. There's going to be some really bad takes there. So we'll see how his career will end up shaping on out. But, man, you would have thought he was like a rock star with how there were so many kids last night just wanting to talk to Jared McCain at the Barclays Center.
TikTok is a big deal, Zach.
Are you on TikTok?
Yes, I am. It is the biggest form of media, I think, for people under the age of 24, I would say.
Samter, when we had the Micah Parsons thing go viral, Samter created a show, TikTok, that night. He said he was going to continue to update it. I don't know if he's done that. I'm weird with TikTok. I watch all the reels and all the TikToks, but I don't have TikTok. So, like, whatever comes up on my Instagram reels or my Facebook reels, and a lot of them are from TikTok because you see the TikTok logo and everything, that's how I consume that product or what people send me. But I don't actually have the physical TikTok app.
If you're not on it, I would honestly tell you don't do it because it's so addictive that you will spend an ungodly amount of time on TikTok once you get it. Yeah,
I do it enough with Instagram and Reels and Facebook and all that stuff.
If you like Reels, you'll like TikTok even more because the algorithm, I don't know how it works, but it'll figure out what you're looking to watch and it'll just show you like constantly. And it's so addictive because you just swipe up to the next video.
All right, can we all have an honest conversation?
Yeah.
What are like the 2 most videos right now that are on your Reels? Or like TikToks? Like
TikToks?
What is content related? Mine, Sopranos. I love the Sopranos. We had Bobby Bacala in studio, Steve Sharippa. So I always get Sopranos clips. And I kid you not, every third video now is the Hawk Tua girl.
I've got a lot of that too. Yeah.
And there's so many different renditions of the Hawk Tua girl. They've put her into songs and everything. It's like crazy. So I would say Sopranos and Hawk Tua are what's on my reels these days the most. What kind of content?
The number one thing right now that I'm getting a lot of is Game of Thrones stuff because I watched one episode of the new Dragon show, whatever they're calling it, House of Dragon, and I think I might have looked something up on TikTok about the show. And all I get now, because I keep watching them, are different edits of characters in Game of Thrones, like Jon Snow and all the different stuff. So that's what I've been getting just over and over and over again.
Yeah, I watched one episode. I think I've said this before in the year. I watched one episode of Game of Thrones. I think I said it recently, too. I watched it in college, and I just was like, I'm out on this show.
How come?
I'm not a Star Wars guy. Like, it's just not my kind of show. I like dumb reality TV, and then I like, mobster movies or like something like a Boondock Saints or something like that. That's like the kind of movies I like.
Now, have you seen Peaky Blinders?
I have not.
Oh, see, that's one you got to watch. It's like British Sopranos.
Yeah, when I watch, okay, so I'll check that out.
Very good.
The one episode, I don't remember the character. He was a shorter fella, let's just say.
Game of Thrones?
Yeah, he got
Tyrion Lannister.
Was he the one that got his male part cut off?
No.
Okay. Do you know what have you seen
I've
all of Game
seen
of Thrones?
that. Yeah, there was a guy. He's not a shorter fellow.
Oh, he wasn't short?
No,
For some reason, I thought he was a shorter fellow.
No, that's a very interesting storyline there. You really have to watch Game of Thrones.
A lot of people to me are like shorter fellows, too.
Well,
so he may
true.
not have been like an actual short fellow, but he's just short to me.
He's just 5'10".
But I remember I walked into my fraternity house, and like all the guys would be watching Game of Thrones. And I said, I'll watch one of these episodes. It's like I parachuted into it, which you got to watch from the beginning. I was like, let me see if this is going to be something that I'm going to watch. And then they cut off the guys, you know what? And I was like, huh?
Yeah, I believe that was Theon Greyjoy, if I'm not mistaken. It's very sad what happened to poor Theon.
He could be sitting right next to me. I have no clue who the heck he is. Botcher, what's on your reels these days? Do you have TikTok, Botcher?
I do.
All right, what's on your TikTok these days?
I opened it up. I got a fastest MLB players according to StatCast. And then it's a dude promoting his music.
Just a random guy?
No, a guy I saw live. He opened up for Sum 41. So
who'd you say?
It was Joey Valance and Bray, a pair of rappers from Pennsylvania. And then those two are following each other. They're putting a new album.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm not going to pretend like I know who that is. Watch it. I'm going to be like,
no, they're not big at all.
Oh, they're not big at all.
No, not even close.
Gotcha. So anyway, let's play this real quickly. We're all waiting to see when Bronny James is going to go in the draft. I think he's going to be the 55th pick to the Los Angeles Lakers. Here is Bob Myers, who's on the ESPN coverage, the former executive for the Warriors and also the longtime agent before that. Here is Bob Myers with some intel that he has on how the Lakers are trying to go get Bronny James.
Bob Myers, you promised at the show that 30 minutes in, you would have an update for us on Bronny James, and we're 56.
Well, I don't get a chance to say anything.
So would you like to say
Stephen
it?
A. talks a lot. There's other stuff going on.
Break some news. Stop whining.
Yeah, it sounds like
Listen,
exactly.
Okay, fine. I will say
15 seconds.
Right now, Rich Paul's calling teams, don't take Bronny James. He's telling them, do not take him, okay? He's saying, don't take him. If you take him, he's going to Australia. So he has a plan and he has a place.
But he's not telling the Lakers.
I don't know if he's telling one team.
Mark Tatum.
The whole thing is a farce. It can only work out for like two teams. He's telling teams, don't even think about giving him a two-way contract or we're not even talking. He was never going to go first overall. The only reason he's going to get drafted is because the Lakers are going to take him 55th overall. Now, Rich Paul can tell you, don't take him or he's going to Australia. It's an empty threat. No one's going to take him regardless. You know, it stinks because it's not Bronny James's fault. It's not. And there's going to be a lot of people rooting against him. It's part of the business, right? But he should have gone back to college. Like, I'm not an advisor. I'm not an advisor for Bronny. That's what I would advise him to do, Connor. It's just the whole thing is just like it's like a rotten story now.
Has there ever been another player in the history of sports who has basically had his dad strong arm him to be on the roster of a team? And I don't understand what the end goal is because, okay, so say he goes to the Lakers.
LeBron plays a season for him, with him.
Yeah, but is he ever...
This is more LeBron than it is Bronny, I feel like.
But is he ever actually going to play meaningful minutes? Legitimate meaningful minutes?
Well, it depends what you quantify as meaningful. Like, the Lakers aren't going to win a championship this year. The Lakers aren't going to go far in the postseason. They hired some podcaster who also played basketball and was an analyst in J.J. Redick, who's just going to do whatever LeBron James wants. And they're going to have that enough times this year where Bronny's on the court for a few minutes with LeBron. And this is like the last chapter before LeBron James is going to eventually walk away. You know, I said that I thought this upcoming season was going to be LeBron's final season in the league. And then for a little bit, I'm like, oh, maybe he'll play two more. Maybe he does. But it wouldn't, like, he's not still playing for a championship. He's playing to go share a moment, which is fine, on the court with his son. But if LeBron, who claims he still truly cares about winning, actually did, he wouldn't be caring where his son going to Los Angeles. He would go join the Sixers, with Embiid and Maxey. But LeBron doesn't care about winning anymore. And that's just the bottom line. So he'll go 55th overall. It would be really funny, though. And this is kind of a twisted, sick thing to say. But it would be very funny with all this buildup. Oh, Bronny's going to Lakers. Bronny going to Lakers. The 55th pick happens. But it's not Bronny. They pick like some foreign kid.
They pick some guy from France.
That's not going to play like in the NBA maybe ever or won't play until like 4 years from now. LeBron would be gone. he would storm out. LeBron would lead the Lakers if that was the case. So we are zeroing in. Antonio Reeves actually just got selected out of Kentucky. Jamal Sheed from Houston, he's had some good years. He also got selected as well. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 picks away until the Lakers are making their selection. So we are on Bronny James watch. That would be awesome. The Lakers take someone we've never heard of, not Bronny James. All right, we'll come on back with the Zach Gelb Show PSA to wrap up another edition of the Zach Gelb Show on a Thursday. But update time first. Here he is, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the second round of the draft began about an hour ago with the Raptors taking San Francisco center Jonathan Mobo. Kyle Filipowski of Duke was the next pick by the Utah Jazz, followed by Tyler Smith to the Bucks, Tyler Kolek to the Blazers, who made a deal with the Knicks, and Johnny Furphy out of Kansas goes to San Antonio. The last pick, as Zach mentioned, was Kentucky's Antonio Reeves by the Orlando Magic at number 47 overall. And still, Bronny James is on the board. A.J. Griffin, the Hawks' 2022 first-round pick, is reportedly heading to the Rockets. And the Kings have reportedly dealt Davion Mitchell to the Raptors for Jalen McDaniels. Baseball today, several games underway. It's been a big day for the Twins in Arizona as they lead the Diamondbacks by a score of 13-5 at the top of the sixth. Byron Buxton with his 7th home run of the season. Ketel Marte has gone deep for Arizona. Nico Horner with a home run for the Cubs. The Giants have tied things up at 3 in the bottom of the 7th. The White Sox on top of the Braves, 1-0, bottom of 6. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey sports fans, it's JR from the JR Sport Brief. Check us out 24/7 on your smart speaker. Just say, play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, wrapping up shop on a Thursday. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, where the worst kept secret is about to happen. We are now 5 picks away from the Lakers being on the clock with the 55th pick of the draft, and they will take Bronny James. Because we know this, you know this, and I know this, that the whole time teams weren't actually interested in Bronny James. And the only team that was Lakers, because the Lakers are going to do LeBron a solid. A wink, wink, solid. John Fanta had a great tweet. Bob Myers said that Rich Paul is calling teams, and he's saying that if you draft him, Bronny's going to Australia. John Fanta said, yes, when someone is threatening to do something I don't want, I threaten them that I'm going to head to Outback Steakhouse. That is a great line by John Fanta. All righty. Without further ado, and I'm not talking about Freddie Adu, it is time to get to a Zach Gelb Show PSA.
It's a Thursday. What do you have to say? It's the weekly Zach Gelb Show PSA.
Who's with me? Let's go! Come on!
I believe Tristan Newton from UConn just went to Indiana with the Pacers. Congratulations to him. He was phenomenal this past year for UConn. He was the most outstanding player in the Final Four. Won me some cash first weekend of the tournament. I said, okay, I think UConn's going to win it all. So I was at a casino in Atlantic City, and I placed a future bet on Kling Kong, Donovan Clingan, and Tristan Newton, both to win Outstanding Player of the Year. Thought one of them was going to hit, and it ended up being Tristan Newton. Anywho, here's my PSA. Ryan Botcher, you're not in trouble, don't worry. He had La Colombe coffee the other day. I love La Colombe coffee. So I thought to myself, I used to have it more so in Philly. They have some spots in New York. I was in the supermarket, and I saw a whole bottle of cold brew from La Colombe. So I put the La Colombe in my fridge. It says on the bottle, keep refrigerated. I was in the supermarket. It was in a fridge, right? Like one of those big fridges that they have in the supermarket. And I took the La Colombe coffee. It was not frozen. I put it in the fridge. Temperature was appropriate temperature. I go to get coffee the next day. I was rushing. The whole bottle was frozen. So, kept it on my counter. I let it defrost. The next day, I put 2 big ice cubes in my cup, and I filled the La Colombe coffee up when it was defrosted. I then said to myself, let's see if it's a coffee issue, a fridge issue, I don't know, or if it was direction issue. I then put the coffee, the La Colombe bottle, back in the fridge. At that point, there's like 3/4 of it left, and it didn't freeze. And now it's fine. So here's my PSA to La Colombe. Do I have to refrigerate it after opening? Am I supposed to refrigerate it all the time? Why did your coffee freeze? I don't know. But don't sell me coffee that's going to freeze. Because I like my cold brew. And your cold brew was frozen. Botcher, you look mesmerized here.
I don't get it.
It makes no sense.
You sure it wasn't in like the back part of your fridge or something like that?
What kind of fridge do you think I have?
I don't know.
Back part, front part, doesn't matter.
Like the higher, sometimes, I don't know, my fridge is, the higher it is, the different
I got
temperatures.
2 shelves in my fridge. I live in a New York City apartment. I don't live in some mansion. But yeah, my cold brew was right in the fridge. It was on the door, actually, of the fridge. And it froze. And then I defrosted it. I put it back in the fridge. And it's fine. So that's my PSA. La Colombe. Get your act together. You're still confused here.
It's like magic.
Yeah. I wish I had a better answer for you. I wish I could tell you there's something that I did wrong. Like maybe the setting was jacked up on my fridge, but it wasn't. Because it was the same temperature when I put it back into the fridge. Anyway, Connor Green, what's your PSA today?
So my PSA is to anybody out there, at least in the tri-state area or really anywhere else, if you're thinking about moving, whether it be to a different apartment or to buy a new home, do not do it. Because the housing market and the rental market is maybe the single worst thing about the United States. Nothing makes sense. The realtors are rude to you. The prices are not at all accurate, and they fluctuate to whatever it is that somebody's willing to offer. The amount of applications they'll take, like they'll have you come to an apartment, you view it, you say, okay, I like this apartment, I'm willing to make an offer and take it and rent it at the price that you've advertised it at. And then they'll say, okay, that's great. Well, we also have 25 other applications, so we'll consider you.
Give me your life savings tomorrow and you can have it.
And the broker's fee is 35%, so it's like $10,000 to give to some realtor to post it on Zillow. The whole thing makes absolutely no sense. And then it's like, if you already have 25 applications on an apartment, why are you showing it to me? Just give it to one of those 25 people instead of wasting my time going all the way out there to see it.
So I got my lease renewal 2 weeks ago. And the first thing I did was log on to the apartment that I live in, which I lived in since 2019, their company's website. The lease renewal that they jacked up for me, they were offering a better price, significantly better, for a 1-bedroom in my apartment. Like in my apartment complex. So I went down to the guy that runs the thing and I said, hey, this is what you're marketing at. He goes, all right, let me call the landlord and we'll take care of it. Today, after I was in the gym, he saw me. He goes, I'll come into my office. He goes, we can't give you that price because it's a peak season now. Your lease isn't up for another 2 months. The price that I wanted, and they offered me like it was $250 more a month. The price that I wanted, they were like, oh, we'll give you that price, but $50 more. That's the best that we could do. Like, if that's what we're doing, you can't just give me $50 less. Like, what are we doing here? So at least they didn't jack it up to what they were going to, and they did chop it down a little bit. But at that rate, like, I lived there since 2019.
Yeah.
Like, just give me the deal that you marketed online 2 weeks ago.
It really is the biggest scam in the world, and my sister was just in the market to
And
buy a
all
home.
those people are rats.
They're all rats. It's all a scam. And my sister was in the market to buy a home, and what they do every single time is they cause a bidding war between the two buyers. And then the craziest thing is that after the bidding war is over and you jack the price up.
Doesn't end.
It doesn't end. And then you have to go to when you get your mortgage, an appraisal person has to come and say, well, this is the actual value of the house. And if the value is too low, they won't give you the mortgage on the agreed upon price. Why not just get the appraisal to begin with and then put it on the market at what the value actually is?
I don't have the answer to that question, but my sister just bought a home on Long Island. They're moving back from Colorado. Her husband, and my niece. And they were in a bidding war. They won, and they called back after they already agreed, said, okay, you're going to get the house. Oh, the other person just made it even bigger offer, so you have to give more money. All right, Botcher, send us home here quickly.
When I'm on the subway and there's an open entire seating row, two gentlemen decide to squeeze into the same seat I'm sitting in, just so we're like get tuna can. We're all packed together in this one seat. Sardines in a can. Yes. There's so much space everywhere else in the car. Why did you decide to sit right next to me at that time?
Maybe they admired your eyes.
No. I was looking straight down, thinking of why they're doing this.
Oh, maybe they're trying to mug you. I don't know. That is weird. The whole cart was empty, and they sat right next to you?
So you know how there's the bar in the middle? No, what?
A bar in the middle?
Like the handlebar. And
yes.
So I was sitting on the side by myself, and there was an open to the left. There was only two people, and they decided to squeeze right next to me instead of just spacing out on the other side of the pole.
Okay.
It's terrible.
Ryan Botcher, don't stand next to him by a subway.
No.
If you do, maybe he'll shank you. You never know. You never know when you ride these subways these days. All I ask when they go on the subways these days, a rat doesn't get on the cart and no one stabs me. So those are my standards. Fun show today. Big thanks to Ryan Botcher. Excellent job as always. Excellent job by the great Connor Green. Each and every one of you, appreciate you tuning on in. The Knicks are on the clock. 51st pick. Bronny James. 55, maybe to the Lakers, we're thinking. We're on Bronny watch. JR's got you covered next. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.